Personal problem.
Yes. So we are live. So everybody, welcome to Comics 101. My name's Richard, and over there is L. Roger. He has joined us today, and we are waiting for the big dog. But until then, so Roger, you're a big Star Trek fan. Did you ever get any of the Star Trek comic books?
Yes, I did.
And did you like what you've read? Did you get Next Gen or the original or both?
It was the original when they redid them, I believe, in 1989 or early 90s. I actually have them. I can reach for them right now. Peter David did quite a few of them. And I think they were 1989, if I remember correctly.
And did you like those stories? I mean, did they did they get the feel of the series at all, or
Oh, yeah. Stories were good. They were fun.
well, that's so.
Yes.
How long did you stay with that then? For a few years then, or just on and
Yeah, it
off?
was several years. I know I have the debut 12 copies there, but I don't know.
Right now, Tiffany, we're just BSing. We're waiting for. Oh, there he is, the big dog, the man of the hour.
So I go here.
How you doing,
Hi.
big dog?
Hola, caballeros, ¿cómo están? Oh,
Hi,
hold on,
Tiffany.
hold on. Okay, there we go. I had the SAP button on. I'm sorry. Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Yes, yeah, okay.
That's
So
creative. It's
Sorry,
Comics 101,
big
Tiffany.
dog's like
That's
going, "What's going on here? I'm not the first one here."
Yeah.
It is Comics 101, the inconsistent show brought to you by me.
Yeah, yeah. Big dog's the one.
Gotta be more consistent. I will work on that. That is my half-year resolution. So, how are you gentlemen doing?
Well, I'm not doing too bad. How about Roger? How you doing?
It's comic book day on Saturday, and even though Michael Day is not going to go out there, I'm going to take my youngest, and we're going to hit a comic book. If we find one, comic book
Go,
shop or
go
two.
to Four Color Comics in Rancho Cucamonga.
That's racist.
It's probably the best comic book store in the area, between you and I, other than say Frank and Sons. And they're gonna have some artists there signing. So and they'll be doing sketches and such.
I'll probably have to do that. Maybe we'll contact you, big dog. Who knows?
Sounds good.
So you
Are
gonna
you?
be able to get out? Go ahead. I'm sorry, big dog. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, are you going to be going to any stores this Saturday? Almighty?
Yes. I guess I didn't know whether to go with my name or Almighty. I guess I should have since you went with Big Dog.
And I went with El Royer.
Yeah.
Well, it's El Ryer, and then
El
there's Big
Royer.
Dog. I could call you Big Dick.
Okay.
You know, Richard for Richard. You know, Dick
Yeah,
is Richard
yeah,
for short. You know,
But so you
I got
know,
Roger's attention.
but not that. But anyway, I'm just saying that is not what she said. So
Everything is fine as long as Roger, El Roger, and myself don't call you a Richard Cranium. Then we'll be fine.
yeah.
That was my boss's favorite thing. One of my ex bosses' favorite saying when he was pissed off at someone.
Yep. Or you know, it was always Richard Weed. So you know,
Richard what?
Weed. Anyway.
So
I'm just happy to
guys,
be here today. That's it. So, gentlemen, forgive me. I have not had anything all day. I'm having it now, so I apologize.
no problem.
Yeah. So
It's comic book day on Saturday.
yes, it is.
Free
Yes,
comic
it
book day.
Yes. I am planning on going to several stores on Saturday, so
Cool.
we'll see what what transpires, what books I pick up, what sales are good, who has guests. So we'll be heading to Canton that day.
Mm.
Ooh, Canton, Ohio. All right.
Yeah, there's several in Canton, so and then there's just a few more up in Akron, but it's not. So there is a lot going on that day in the Northeast Ohio. So we'll see. I'll be going with my son Brian, and we will be. So we'll be heading out, see what transpires.
Cool.
Hopefully, there'll be some good sales. I don't know.
Usually there are. Usually there's pretty good sales. I've noticed over the last few years, though, I remember or more than that, probably the last 10 years, I guess, when my children were smaller and it was free comic book day, you would get one of everything that store had, for free comic book day.
Right.
And now, usually depending on the store, like Four Color is one of the bigger stores as far as ordering and that kind of stuff. So they usually allow you, I think it's 5 or 7 books per person.
Yeah, in here, well, it depends. I store by store,
Uh-huh.
but
Yeah.
several just let you. Well, it could be anywhere from 3 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
And-
imagine if you got there late in the day, you may be able to get a bigger pile. If
That
they
is
wanna
true.
unload 'em.
And for those who don't know, usually free comic book days, there's 2 tiers. There's the gold tier and the silver tier. And if you're in the gold tier, it's everything, and that usually is about 35 to 42 books that are put out by different companies, so on and so forth, and you can get those. And like I said, it's grown a lot. But when my kids were smaller, they used to love going because they would, be able to go one and get one of everything, and then they would just, have fun with it. But what I was going to mention, and I'm not sure, I know Roger's really not too sure with artists and stuff, but a couple of at Four Color on Saturday, I'm not sure you're familiar with the inker Norm Rapman. He's done literally thousands of books. He's going to be there inking and or doing sketches and signing, and also an artist called Joel Gomez, and he's most known for Lady Death. He does a lot of the Lady Death covers and La Muerta and Hell Witch, their Coffin Comics covers. So there, I guess I know Norm was local. I didn't know Joel Gomez was local, so I might be doing a little stocking in the next month or so.
Wow. I think I'm not sure who had. Well, usually Bill's Books and More has an artist, the one that did
Okay.
or created the Green Lantern.
Green. Oh, Madoff, Modell.
I can't remember his name,
Yeah, he's an older gentleman. I know who you're talking about.
but he usually shows up.
Yeah, and he, even though he's probably late 70s, early 80s, he's still
Well,
a pretty decent drawer.
Well, didn't he create the Kyle Rayner? Is that right? I can't remember the.
I'm thinking the Golden Age Green Lantern.
Well, I'm talking
Golden
about
Age or Silver?
I'm talking about modern.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Wasn't there a Green Lantern called Kyle Rayner or something like that?
Kyle Rayner, yes.
He
Yeah,
created that character. He created that character.
Okay.
I think he lives here in Ohio. That's why he shows up.
Oh, that Ron Martz?
That could be. I mean, I see him every year, but I don't remember his name. And he always sits up at a table and signs things. So so right now I was not, but he usually I don't know if he is or not. But he usually does. But not a lot of them have a lot of guests going on.
Yeah, Ron Martz. I was right. Yeah, it's Ron Martz.
So he's the one that shows up, and
okay, cool.
He sets up a table, and I think he does artwork and sells prints and stuff. And then, so he seems to be a yearly fixture there, I imagine, unless he's off somewhere else. But yeah,
okay.
I don't know exactly where he lives, but I know that he is here in Ohio, and that's why he. Ooh, there we go.
Oh,
As a,
thank you, Raj.
yes, that looks a lot better. So yeah, he does, and I don't know, and I know another comic shop called the Time Toys Forgot. It's also a major overpriced.
Oh, I've seen them. I've seen them on Facebook before. Yeah.
Yeah, they usually usually they have like the General Lee and several other. I think one year they had the Lost in Space robot, and sometimes they have other fixtures there too. And they usually have the free comic books, if weather permitting. They'll have them out in the parking lot. They also one year they had a artist that did caricatures for donation,
Cool.
me and my buddy each got one done, and so I mean, yeah, but he's just kind of out of the way. But if you have time, we do stop by because it just depends. And sometimes if we plan it, and even if we don't, we might hit Kenmore, and that's like one of the bigger shops near Akron where
Okay.
they lots of back issues, and also sells a lot of gaming stuff.
Okay.
The figures and other stuff that goes with not and dice, not just D&D, but
Yeah.
other things too. But so it's a pretty
And
nice store.
over here, of course, the most famous one is Golden Apple, which is in Hollywood. And they always usually have something. It's a real small store now. They used to have multiple stores, but after COVID and everything else, they're down to one store. And it's off of, I think it's Hollywood Boulevard. So it gets pretty crowded. The line gets pretty crazy. But what was interesting is I follow them on Instagram. I guess they had a super secret signing last week. Now, Scorekeeper might not be familiar with it. You probably are. Is Berserker, which is based on Keanu Reeves. So their super secret signing, Keanu showed up.
You're kidding.
He was there for, say, I don't know, it was like 3 hours. And I guess Twitter went crazy because they said within 20 minutes there was like 300 people there.
Oh, no kidding.
And I've seen his book, the first issue, that they were able to get at CGC, which is, for those who don't know, when you slab the comic and it's encased and it's graded. I believe Keanu's people charges, I believe it's $300 a signature. So to have it encased and get a high grade off of it, that book immediately shot up into, like $1,000. So I can just imagine what all these books that were signed yesterday, if they sent them in to be graded, I figure in the next month and a half to 2 months, it's going to be on eBay like crazy. But he seemed really cool. They showed lots of videos. He seemed really nice, really pleasant with the fans. He was really, really nice to the children, where it looks like he took time to actually talk to them, So, hats off to him. But Free Comic Book Day has really blown up, to say the least, because of Hollywood and everything else that's happened. But well, we're here today, folks. We're going to try again what we've been trying for a while. We're going to talk about comic book ages. And by that, what we mean is from a certain year to a certain year is considered ages, such as the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and then modern. And there really hasn't been anything since 1984 or 85, depending on who you listen to. But for pretty much 40 years.
What's 1 year, right, Big Dog?
What's that?
What's 1 year? 84.
Yeah. But it's just incredible that there hasn't been, I don't know, for whatever reason, why it stopped. So I'm going to go through the ages, and there's a couple of ones that were thrown in, and you guys can either agree or disagree. I'd like your input, of course, Almighty and Roger, if you guys agree with it. But
first, what is? Are you going to say what the? Okay, go ahead with the Golden Age that you have.
Okay,
is this it, Big Dog? Check this out.
That's a dog.
No. See the Dark Ages?
Okay, then God. So
no, that's fine.
Give yours, and then I'll show that one.
Okay, go ahead, Big Dog.
Pretty much these are the ones I'll tell you the ones that are pretty much universally accepted, and then there's a couple thrown in here where you can decide whether yes or no. But everything started with the Platinum Age, which is before 1935, and actually before that there was the Victorian Age, which is the late 1800s, which is when the first comic book was ever produced, which was The Yellow Kid, which I believe was 1886, right in there.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah. So from the Platinum Age, and of course the Golden Age starts, and of course it starts with Action Comics 1, which was the first Superman, and that was January of 35 to June of 47. This is where it kind of gets tricky. They've inserted, and I've seen it a couple of times, and they call it the Atomic Age, which is 47 to 58. I'm kind of iffy on that one. That was post World War II, where comics shifted from the superhero genre to more love stories, military stories, horror stories. EC Comics got its start right around that time, so it changed there. Some people really don't accept the Atomic Age, but like I said, some do. Definitely the next one, of course, is the Silver Age, which they have listed as December 58 to August 1970. Silver Age started with Showcase 4, if I'm not mistaken, which was the 60s version of The Flash. And of course, in Marvel, it was Fantastic Four #1.
I was going to say, I think it depends on what company you were following at the time when your Silver Age starts.
Yeah.
So with me, it would be Fantastic Four #1. I don't know where you fall on that, but that's.
I kind of fall whichever one was earlier, because they're both probably within a year or so of each other.
Well, you've got Flash was 58 and Fantastic was what 61, 62?
Yeah, 61, 62.
So you have almost a 4-year difference there, but I don't know. It's all. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all opinion. There's nothing official.
Yeah,
and this has been a major discussion among comic fans.
Yeah,
forever. So I mean, it's always fun to discuss to see where people fall, and sometimes they do get heated. We'll try not to get too heated.
Yes,
here, but,
no. And after the Silver Age, then was the Bronze Age, which they have listed in this article as 1970 to 85. Most people say after 85 or 84, whichever one you want to pick, then they consider it's called the Modern Age. And that's been the catch-all for the last almost 40 years. This particular article gives the Bronze Age to 85. And then from the Bronze Age, and I've heard this one before, they call it the Copper Age, which is 85 to 2000. I've heard it a couple of times. But like
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And then this one I had never heard of. From 2000 to 2020, they call it the Plastic Age. And the reasoning why I think is Plastic Age being because that's about the time CGC started. So I'm wondering if, that's why they're calling. But I had never heard of the Plastic Age before.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about just trading just in general, because I see.
Exactly. Right. And so this one doesn't actually have a modern age listed, but older collectors such as Almighty and myself, we go usually from the Bronze Age to modern, and because that's what we've known pretty much all our collecting lives. And I don't know why, because it seemed like there was a good 12 to 15 years in between ages, and for whatever reason, when the modern age hit in 84, 85, whichever one you decide you want it, what year you want it to be, there was no next, and there should have been, because lots of things have happened since then. I mean, we've made not an argument, but we've made discussion saying maybe there could have been what was called the Indie Age, which was when all of Marvel, all the main guys left and started Image, and the indie comic boom happened. There was indie comics before that, but they really didn't explode till Image hit, and then everybody went crazy on that.
Right. But if you want to go even deeper, I mean, there was the Black and White Age, which started with Teenage Mutant Age of Ninja Turtles. I mean, there were black and whites before that, but it seems the Turtles actually showed that you can actually do a comic. You didn't need to be a big company to get a major distribution deal and get your books out there. So I remember, like in the 80s, if you walked into a comic shop, there would always be displays of other people with black and white comics. So you could put that inside the modern age. But that did happen too, because and then like you said, when Image hit, that was another independent thing where now we have bigger other companies coming on doing black full color comics and also having much more money to spend.
Yep. That
Gentlemen,
was yes,
Yeah,
sir.
go ahead, Raj.
I put in the private chat an article from Sit Comics that had everything that you just mentioned, but they say that the plastic age ends in April of 2020, and then we
Yeah, I saw
have
that.
what they call the
I,
new
the
pixel
the pic.
age.
Yeah, I didn't even mention it because that's bullshit. They're just trying to make. They're
God,
just trying to
Yeah.
make talk.
I don't think
I,
anybody wants.
I'm
I don't want to be part of anything called the pixel age, anyways.
yeah, and I think the reason why they're calling it the pixel age because of AI that everybody's having all the big problems with, and how AI artwork is, you know, it's been the talk, especially this year. It's really been a problem where you get all these people in their mama's basement generating AI created art, so-called artwork, selling it as original. But what they're doing is they're ripping off known artists and they're having the AI tweak it and they're calling it their own and they're calling it original. And in essence, it's stolen art, you know, and they don't see anything wrong with it. In fact, I've had I know a lot of artists that are friends, and I've talked to them and I've read their stuff where they'll even have AI people or the people who do the AI art saying, I want to buy this particular picture from you that you use, you know, to sell your stuff, but I want to buy that particular so I can sell it for myself. And you're not going to get any proceeds from it.
Well, there is a special agreement between an artist and a consumer, which I can't remember the agreement where you're allowed to purchase the artwork and sell it. And then there's another contract that you sign where you buy it and you are not allowed to resell it. So there are different ways to have that done. But those who say they're not stealing artwork need to create an original piece of art and then watch as people take their something that they actually created and steal it and use it for themselves and then come back and say there's nothing wrong with it.
Exactly. In fact, there was a comic shop that a guy who's probably been in the comic selling business for maybe 4 years, 5 years. So he's got a little experience, but he got caught. There's a new platform. It's called Whatnot. A lot of artists use it. It's just quicker. It's auction style, but the thing is, they get paid immediately, and you have to pay immediately. It's not like eBay where you have 3 days to pay or whatever, or Facebook sales where you go through PayPal or whatever. With Whatnot, if you buy it, it charges you right then. You know, as soon as you buy it, and what was good and protects the buyer is the seller does not get paid until you receive your product. So if this guy is known, say Roger's the one that's selling, but he's known to be a slow shipper, he won't get any money till it's shipped and in my hands. So a lot of people like that part of it. But anyways, there's this one seller. What he was doing is he was buying artwork from some guy off of eBay who was AI supposed creator. But what he was doing is he was stealing artists' work, making an AI version of it, and then slapping it onto a cover and selling it as what they called mock-up covers. So there was just the cover, nothing, no guts on the inside. It was just the cover itself. And the guy was selling them for anywhere from $75 to $100 a pop and saying that this was original art. And he got called out on it and he got busted because everybody knew, because what he was doing is a lot of artists get away with doing shoot, I lost the word. Covers that are like that person. So in other words, like DC Comics has Harley Quinn. There is an artist, an homage artist. So what he does is he created a character that looks a lot like Harley Quinn, but he calls her Hardly Thin. She's a little bit thinner, and they do parody covers. So what the guy did is he took the Hardly Thin covers, artwork, put it in an AI generator, made a fake cover, but put all the DC logos on it, on the cover. Even though everybody knew it was Hardly Thin, but he had the DC logo saying it was DC's Harley Quinn, so on and so forth, until some of the bigger shop owners that do major business with DC and Marvel said, hey, that's not a real cover. What are you doing? What are you talking about? No, you don't know what you're talking about. You're full of shit. Until DC Comics stepped in and said, cease and desist, guy. And we want all the money that you made off of this, and you're going to pay back the original artist also. And it was a big old man. Oh my God, it was over about a month ago. And the guy is almost out of business because of this, for stealing artwork.
Well, I can see that.
Yeah, so I don't blame him.
You don't mess with the big boys.
Yeah, and even the artist that he was stealing from. I mean, the guy's not like Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane, but he is known. He is known in the comic industry. His name was Nathan Zerdy, and the guy also sold from Marat Michaels, and those guys are pretty decent names in the industry. So, as soon as a lot of regular fans of theirs started noticing, hey, I don't ever remember seeing this cover. And why is it like off? It's like kind of blurry, but not blurry. What's up with this? And then Nate Zerdy chimed in and said, that's not my cover. This guy stole my cover. And that's when all the shit hit the fan, within 24 hours. So, this AI stuff is pretty crazy right now. And of course, everybody's divided on it. All the traditionalists like Almighty and myself, and artists and stuff, of course, are saying AI, all they're doing is stealing our work. And of course, the AI generators are all, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. You guys do interpretations of such and such, of Batman or whatever. You draw Batman, they're like, yeah, but it is Batman, and we're saying it's Batman, and we're not selling prints off of it or covers off of it. This is at a convention or a sketch op, and you're doing one-offs. Because the guys that do sell the prints and stuff like that, they're all authorized by DC, Marvel, Dynamite, whoever owns that particular character. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get back to the ages. That was interesting, Big Dog. But as long as that guy got busted. I mean, what set it off was the DC. He was trying to pass it off as DC, and that's why he got busted. It wasn't like he said it was a parody. He was actually putting DC logo on it.
Yep.
It would have said something, a parody of the DC name. Well, then if he claimed it was a parody, he would have been safe. But he would but he did not do that, and he got busted for infringement. And I guess if he chose not to fight it, then I guess he probably paid the money back then.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He says he did, but whether he did or didn't, that's
it would be cheaper than trying to fight DC in the courts. That would have bankrupted him for sure.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I always thought of the Silver Age starting with the 15 centers. I mean, the Silver Age ending with the 15 centers. The Bronze Age starting from 15 cents to. I always put the 20 centers in the Bronze Age. I didn't really think about putting the 25 centers in there, but the 25 centers, I will put them in there for the bronze. And then you have the inflation age, when the comic book prices. Well, the comic book prices were going up almost every year, and the page count decreased. There was a point there where you were paying 65 cents for a 17-page comic, which used to be 21, 22 pages when they were 20 cents to a quarter. But of course, the reason they stayed 10 cents for a long time is because when they began, you got 10 cents for like 68 pages. So you can just keep decreasing pages and keep your 10-cent price. But then with the Silver Age, all caught up with, can't really decrease much. We got to start raising the price again to 12 and 15 and whatever. But there was the inflation age there during the Carter years. Well, maybe it was Gerald Ford too, Gerald Ford and Carter. And they were going up almost, like I said, they were going up almost yearly. because within 10 years they have gone from a quarter to 65 or 75 cents. So you saw a big jump, and it was, like I said, the pages. And also in the 80s, part of the 80s, you can call it the sucky ass artwork too, because it started getting very, very bad. You couldn't really tell who the characters were. It was almost you caught the abstract age. Because I swear I would open up a comic book comic. Is that supposed to be Matt? I can't tell. I don't know if that's supposed to be Matt Murdock or not. It looks like he's just I couldn't. It was terrible. That was a terrible age. I mean, for some books and artwork, and some of the writing was kind of iffy too.
Saying that about the artwork, I just remember the Heroes Reborn with Rob Liefeld, and he had like Captain America had that side view, and he had like 52 triple D's on him. You remember that? Whenever someone talks about bad artwork, that's the one, and everybody goes to that one. And but you're right, and also the inflation age too. That's also in the early to mid 80s is when the transition started going to direct marketing. When they started having the direct marketing, and then the books were maybe 75 cents, and then there was the direct marketing price of like $1.25 because you got that slicker paper. Remember that?
Yeah.
When it was Marvel Fanfare, when I think they're the ones that started that.
Oh yeah, they had you had a kind of cover where you could actually feel the powder on it and crap.
Yeah.
The paper, that Baxter paper, before everything became, because 75 cents were still the newsprint. And then they would put out the Marvel Fanfare $1.25. You get that thicker, more wider Baxter paper at the time. Yeah. And direct distribution started kind of in the mid 70s, but really didn't catch on until the 80s. I mean, everything has a starting point. But you're right. You can still get them on the newsstand, but comic shops would get them earlier if they had direct distribution. So if they get them way before, like say a convenience store or a grocery store would get them.
Yep, and of course you have to worry about when you got them at a convenience store or 7-Eleven or Circle K, wherever you were buying them when you were a kid. You know, most of those people didn't care, and they just shoved them in that comic rack. So you'd get that center of the book crease where they just stuffed it, and once they went direct and the comic book stores started popping up, everybody loved it because you were able to get an almost pristine book every single time. That was great.
Yeah, I remember that, man. Go to that rack and trying to find the one copy with the less bend in it.
Yep.
There was a time where luckily I would get there before anyone had time to go flip, mess up the stupid book. But at a time, like you said, they put them in there, and they didn't put them in any kind of order either. You had to even go through different racks just to make sure you weren't missing a title, because they put titles behind each other. That'd be Superman in the front, but the behind might be Spider-Man, and you're like, But anyway, that was. I guess you can call that the rough age of comics too, or the bendy age. But it was terrible, and that's probably why. Since that was probably the point, that's probably why more people tried to seek out comic shops so they wouldn't have to worry about getting comics. I mean, I've always been aware of the condition of my comics. No matter, I always didn't want to. I didn't want that. I mean, I know that some younger kids like, well, so what? And I know back in the 50s they put these comics in their back pockets and rode around, and that's why older comics like that are worth more, because they all got beat up to hell because no one cared about 10-cent comic. They put them in the. Can you imagine a kid having that Action One comic in the back of his pocket, all folded up, $1 million in his pocket? He doesn't even know it. Jeez.
Saying that reminds me. Well, I was when I used to have my friend out at cons, and we were doing San Diego, and this was probably 87, maybe 88, and he bought he was doing this, selling. He had one of the bigger tables. He was a big dealer, and he was known in the industry. So, but his table, I mean, the table that he had and the rack behind him was at that time was 15,000 and up was his table. I had like the, whatever to about $2,500 on the table and behind me. So he had the high end. which was fine because he was the owner, of course. But anyways, he sold this Golden Age Superman, and of course, this was before CGC. And the guy paid, I believe it was like $10,000 or $11,000 for the book. And he walked away, and I swear, I cringed. I swear to you, Almighty, he got it, rolled it up like a newspaper, and put it in his back pocket and walked away. Yes. I know he's paid at least 10. I'm trying to remember it was 10 or 12, but I know it was at least 10,000. And as he walked away, you could see him rolling it up and just popped it in his back pocket. And his wife and me, we were standing next to each other. And we both saw that we were like, our jaws hit the ground. So
For the first time, I'm speechless.
and we I mean, like I said, him and his wife, me and his wife, we looked at each other like, did you just see what he fucking did? He just spent and he just rolled and we were just like and we're just like, okay, I guess.
I don't know. That's I wouldn't even treat one of my quarter books like that when I was collecting, let alone that. I don't know. That's just never mind. I had a different. I didn't do it for the collectability. I did it because I wanted to have a nice collection. That's why I did it. I didn't do it because I wanted to. Because back then there really wasn't a market when I started. I mean, yeah, you knew Fantasy 15 was going to cost you $100 or $75, but you didn't think up. I mean, but that was when I was that young. I was like, well, that was a long time ago. Even though it was only 10 years ago, but yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't have to worry about what I mean. But yeah, that's crazy.
No, I know what you're saying. And it's people like you and myself and a few others that we know that's why there are higher end comics out there, because a lot of people, or the parents threw out the funny books, because that's what they call them. They call them the funny books.
Yeah.
And, and that's why there's such a limited supply of Golden Age and Silver Age books, because most people didn't care. It's just like baseball cards back in the day. I mean, I know I did it, but I was never one to collect cards, so that mentality, I didn't think about that. Even though I was collecting comics, the card thing, I didn't correlate the two. And I used to do the thing with the card where, you put your baseball card on the bicycle to make that clicking sound. I did that, as much as everyone else did. I'm pretty sure Roger did too. No, you didn't? You saved him, Raj?
What is baseball?
Why did you do that? For that clicking sound? Why did you do that? What was it supposed to do?
The clicking sound was, remember, we're kids. We're 10, 12 years old, and we see the older brothers or friends of older brothers driving around their motorcycles, and the motorcycles make that sound. So you want to get close because you're riding your bicycle, and you want your bicycle to sound like a motorcycle. So you put it on, and so it does on the spokes. It makes the clicking sound. And you think you're a big shit when you're not.
I guess Roger wouldn't do that since he was more of a baseball fan, and he probably wouldn't want to mess up his card. Is that part of it, Roger, or you just didn't think about doing it?
Both. I didn't think about doing it, and two, I had a card collection. I still have a card collection.
So you have that Mickey Mantle rookie card?
No. I have Tony Gwynn rookie, Wade Boggs rookie, Don Mattingly rookie. I also have several other people in the 80s. Don Mattingly rookie. Got him. I've got several.
Have you ever thought about having them graded?
No.
Okay.
Because that means I won't be able to have the temptation to go and look at the cards.
Well, you can. They'll just be graded.
Yeah, but then you won't be able to. But again, that's fine, though. You'll never be able to touch the card. Right now, in my mind, it's still in its plastic cover right now, and I could still take it out of the cover if I wanted to. But once it's graded, I can't do that anymore.
True, but that plastic does destroy it, though, after a while. You have to
work
on his mind.
Anyway, you have a good time with your cards. Do any of your cards still have that bubble gum smell to them?
No.
Okay.
That was the thing. back in
Yeah,
the
I used to
day.
get mad because the gum would sometimes mess up the card you wanted.
Yeah, because the oiliness of the gum would get on the card.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But if I remember correctly, one of my favorite series of baseball cards were Topps 1982 because that was
Oh,
the one
okay.
on the back side. It had where you could play a game. It said
Oh,
home run, single,
oh,
double,
really?
triple, fly out, whatever. And
Oh,
if you put them all in, come up with an order or whatever, you can mix them up like cards and you could play a game using the
oh,
back of the cards, which is kind of neat.
interesting. Cards have come such a long way now. Now, you get a single pack of cards, and they're $15, and there's only 4 cards in there.
Yeah, it was the ones that I grew up with were Tops and then
Oh yeah.
Fleer.
Yep.
Now the 1982 Tops, those were awesome because they were multicolored and they had like the image of the team in the lower right hand corner, it boxed in, and then on the box at the top they had an action photograph of the player. And then of course you had the name on the back side, you had good statistics, and of course you had
Mm-hmm.
that same game. And Fleer was very simple compared to Tops, but Fleer was much cheaper. And then, if I remember correctly, it was Don Russ
Yep.
that came in next. And then that's where you got Upper Deck, which just took
Upper
it
Deck. Yeah, Upper Deck changed the game.
took it to the stratosphere, I suppose.
Now you have all these different chromium colored cards, and everybody's trying to get those specialty cards and paying outrageous amounts for cards, that are only a few years old. But
Yeah.
that's the industry. You know,
So did you
comics are the
buy?
same way.
Oh, I'm sorry, Big Dog. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was going to ask Rod real quick. Did you buy the single packs or did you buy the boxes?
Oh, we were too poor. I don't know about Big Dog. We used to get the single packs. Every once in a while, I might get a box, but no. We
Or did you eventually get boxes then as you got older and were able to become a working man?
Yes, just as we discussed yesterday, Almighty. Yes, working man changed our lives. Yeah, I did for a while, but I didn't do that. But I cut off Big Dog. Sorry.
No. I was just the best time for me. I mean, I kind of dabbled in cards, but it was basketball cards only because Thrifty Drug, before it became Rite Aid, they started carrying cards. So when new stuff would come in, I mean, looking back at it now, I guess it wasn't exactly, moral of me to do it that way, but I was young.
And dumb and full of.
We got into Stadium
Oh,
Club
come now.
basketball cards. When the first year when they came out, and we got them. Each store got in, I think, 3 boxes. And when it came in, I saw them, and I asked manager. I think I was an assistant or a key at the time, and I asked the store manager. I said, "Hey, we got these in." I go, and it just so happened they weren't scanning. So I asked him, like, "Well, how much?" Now at that time, Stadium Club cards were going for, I think, $3 a pack, which was a lot of money back then. And the manager was like, I don't know, they're not ringing up. I said, no, they're not ringing up, and it's not, on the list, but it's not on there. Blah blah blah. And he's like, I don't know, they're probably the same as all the other ones. It's 50 cents a pack. I was like, okay. I go, can I buy some? He's like, yeah. I go, can I get a box? He's like, sure. So he charged me. Of course, there were 36 packs in the box, so I bought the whole box for $18. And I went back and bought a second box for $18. And then like I said, I was collecting basketball cards at the time, and the guy I was buying it from, it was a comic book store, baseball card store. And I asked him if he wanted. I told him I could maybe get I played Stu. Well, at my work, I think I could maybe get a box of Stadium Club. And he's like, well, how much do you want for it? He goes, how much can you get them for? I said, well, you know what they go for? It's 36 pack, blah, blah. I go, but I think I can get them for like $100 for a box. He's like, oh, I'll take it. So, of course, me, I'm thinking I'm making a ton of money because I bought it for, 18, but I'm selling it for 100. I made 5 times my money, more than 5 times my money. So I thought I was doing great.
You speculator, you.
He was
God,
a
I hate
speculator
speculators.
before he was chic.
But the comic book industry, oh man, there's been so many things going on just over the last 20 years.
Yeah. Well, the 90s were a different era also. I mean,
Yeah.
you did bring up the Image comics becoming, artists and writers that worked for Marvel and DC got banded together, formed their own company called Image. Some fans hated them for doing this because you had Todd McFarlane then leaving Marvel and doing the Spider-Man. Marvel gave Todd McFarlane his own Spider-Man title, in fact.
Yep.
And then a year later, wasn't it a year later, he left in or something? He didn't. And then
Yeah, it was about a year later. He
then
left.
Rob
He was,
Liefeld left with him and a few others. And that and
Jim Lee.
with,
Jim Lee
and
left
Jim Lee
also.
and with the advent of Image Comics, then you had the poster comic book because each page seemed to be a splash
Yeah.
page or a. So you'd pay. Plus, you got to remember, Image sold about 70 cents more than the main guys.
Yep.
I remember Marvel and DC thought that no one would buy their comic at $1.95. All those were still $1.25.
Yep.
And of course, they were wrong. And so that happened. But even though people were mad at them, they still bought the books when they came out. And of course, I guess the one that was Todd McFarlane's The Spawn, which is still going today, and so is Savage Dragon.
Savage Dragon by
Come on, I have it, big dog. Eric Larson.
Eric Larson.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh my! I can't believe I farted on that name.
Who coincidentally followed after McFarlane left Spider-Man? They gave Eric Larson the job, and then less than a year later, Larson left to go to Image.
Yeah, because Larson was kind of a McFarlane clone.
Yes.
I mean, he still had his own style, but he was close. Yeah. I remember his artwork. I mean, you could tell that they were trying to replace McFarlane's art with Larson, whether he wanted to or not. I don't know if that was his style or he just wanted to. But anyway, yeah, you're right. They all left, and then that led later in the 90s to the speculator age.
Yes,
and this. And some claim, and I guess I agree, that it started in the late 80s with the death of Superman in Superman 75. Was that it, Big Dog?
Yes, 75.
Now, I remember, this is weird. I knew that the death of Superman was coming up. I didn't really care, but I went to a comic book shop, and the week that it came out, the owner had already marked it up to $15.
Yeah, those were, and I hated those type of people. The same guy that I told you I worked for at the con, I helped him because they asked for help. They said they figured they were going to need some help, so I helped him work that comic book Wednesday, and the Superman 75 came out, and he had. The thing was he was buying books for himself, and two other stores. They were ordering through him. So he would get all the stuff in Tuesday night and separate them. But even then, he had probably 150 copies of Superman 75, and he refused to mark it up. He said that's not fair. That's not what I'm about. He's all I sell comics. He's out now. Next week, if I have any left, he goes everybody that had their chance to get it. Got it for cover, but now if I can make money, I will. And the other two stores that he was buying for, same thing. The guy marked it up. I think he was charging 20. Right off the second he opened his door, he was already charging $20 for it. And John, that was his name, John. John was just pissed. He's like, you can't do that to customers. He's all, your loyal customers, you shouldn't do that to. Because you get a casual. He goes, even that's wrong anyways. But your guys that have been coming to you for years, you're going to gouge your regulars? He's all, that's not right. And the guy was like, I don't care. I'm just here to make money. And John was just, so we allowed, I think it was 2 per person top. I think it was limit of 2. And by that weekend, he sold out of all 200 copies. because as you know, it made national news. It they killed off Superman, blah blah blah, and I would say definitely that speculation age started right around there.
Did you have something, Roger?
Just enjoying the conversation, but thank you.
Well, the store that I went to that had that set $15 right off the bat price, I did not return to for 20 years.
There you go.
Not that he missed my business, but but that was my own personal protest.
Yeah.
You missed your business because he's no longer there.
Oh, he's there all right. But anyway, what I'm okay. So part of that was that, like you said, Big Dog, before it happened, a lot of publicity. People actually outside the hobby thought it was going to be permanent. So that's why it was going to be worth a lot of money. Hey, they're killing off Superman. Even though these articles would specify that, well, he may come back. I mean, and if you actually believe DC is going to kill off their best-selling character, that's sound business. Let's get rid of one of our top sellers next to Batman. That way we'll lose all this. But anyway, the gimmick worked. Well, if it was a gimmick or whatever, it worked because I'm sure DC made a lot of money off of that book, and probably some comic shops. And right now, you're lucky if you got $15 for that number 75 today.
Yeah.
So
what to go for now. Yeah.
Yeah. And, and I knew a different comic book owner that I went to said someone came in the shop, bought that book, and said, I'm going to put my kids through college with this book. And he didn't say anything, but we both kind of chuckled. But, it's like, okay, you're not going to actually be able to do that. You're not even going to be able to buy him a pencil probably with that book.
No, that's not.
Well, he probably meant that he was going to buy them the bus pass for the 4 years, so he can get them through college.
But it's like you said, Big Dog, there's a lot of publicity. It was in the news back in the day when there were actually people read newspapers and actually big sellers. Yeah. It was on the news. It's probably on CNN and Fox by then. So it had a big. I mean, DC could probably not ask for better advertising, for all that free advertising, blah, blah. And so it sold through the roof, but he was back with how long was he dead, Big Dog? Do you remember? I didn't really guy.
About 6-8 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, for 6
they had to do the whole funeral for a friend and, that storyline. And then remember, the big return, of course, was because there was 4 Supermen. You got the Cyborg Superman. You had Superboy.
Was that when Steel came out?
Steel. You had Steel, and I forgot what the 4th one was. But there were 4 different Supermen.
Yeah, and because they had a bunch of them running around by the time he actually came back.
And then you had the hologram covers to go with it. Remember? That's when they were putting the little hologram card in the covers.
In those books? Well, I didn't buy one, so I wouldn't know if there was anything like that inside.
On the one he returned, where it's like he's trying to pass through like the Phantom Zone or wherever he was at, dead, and it's him like reaching out to a hand, and that was on the hologram. Of course, the major hologram ones were the X-Men ones, which go for a decent amount of money, about $15-$20 a pop now, or maybe a little bit more. But those were cool. It was a cool idea. There we go. There was also the gimmick age, but the hologram covers.
Because remember, Spider-Man did the same thing with that first appearance of Hobgoblin. Yep. Some of the comics came with that card in it, which I didn't know until years later. Because I had my one I got had no card in it, so I didn't know it was different. I mean, I wasn't like I said, I wasn't big into that stuff. I just want to read a story and put it in bag and board it. I mean, that's all I wanted to do. But
same here.
That happened. Yeah, I got you talking. The 90s were also the big gimmick age. Every so often, no matter what it was, they have found a reason to have a double size, the cardboard, cardstock, hologram, 3D, pop-up cover.
The die cut cover.
Die cut, whatever they could think of.
Yeah, the foil covers. Jeez.
And that's when comics that usually out of 275 if 75 came out, they didn't do much with it, but then the 90s, it's number 75 or whatever, we better make a double triple size issue. And they just made all kinds of excuses to make these big thick books, and that also. And they also promoted the Spectator age. I thought, ooh, this fancy cover is going to be worth lots of money, even though they made $3 million of the damn things. They didn't understand that. They didn't understand that these books are being treated. These books are not being treated like the books in the Golden Age. These are actually being put away and bagged and boarded and being saved. So I'm sure that's why you can still get 90 books from the 90s for. At the dollar sales. I mean, you can still find them at the dollar sales. But so Big Dog, so after this, what happened to the Spectator age then, Big Dog? Do you remember what happened when that all came to a head?
The bubble blew and everything. Oh my God. It was just like when the housing market blew and the stock market blew. Everybody. There was at the height of the speculator age, the speculation age, excuse me, there was around me when I was working in the San Gabriel Valley. Scorekeeper knows the area. So in that area where I was working, probably within a 10-mile radius of my job, there was probably 15 to 20 comic book stores, easily. There was at least 5 within a 5 to 10 minute drive of where I worked. And once that speculator bubble burst, man, those stores lasted about another 4 to 6 months, and then they were just gone. And everybody who bought, the stupid books that, that were printed, a $500,000, $750,000, million print run, that they were going to put their kids through college on, they were lucky to get a buck for. As you said, you found them in the dollar bins. And man, that was a hard time because all the comics took a hit. Even, the only thing that really stayed constant were your golden and silver age comics, because people, as you said, people collected them or preserved them better now, or at that time in the 90s, or early 2000s. People were actually preserving them, not like in the 50s and the late 40s, or in the 40s and 50s, where even though the print runs were high, the print runs were in the 750, 600,000 range back then. But the thing was, as you said, maybe 2 out of every 10 kids took care of those books. So all the others were trashed or recycled because World War II was going on. They needed the paper, to help out the war and all that other stuff. There was none of that going on in the 90s. People were like bagging and boarding and putting them away in a dry, cool place, and the whole 9 yards. So when the bubble burst and they're like, okay, well, this book is worth $45, and they're like, yeah, I'll give you $2 for it, and everybody lost their shit. Everybody lost a ton of money. As I said, shops closed down, and only the strong survived. The ones who knew what was coming, that could see it coming, were the guys that had been around for a while, and ladies that had been around in the business for a while. And then us collectors that we saw, at least I saw it. You probably saw it also. All this crap that they were putting out crap. They were crappy books.
That's another thing too. They put a. That's when you really couldn't judge a story by its cover. So I mean, that's written you really. And you're right. They just wanted to put that cover on it, jack it up a buck, and didn't care what was inside of it. I mean, that's that part too. And another thing, like you said, plus like you mentioned before, Bert, during that golden age, is parents would also throw them away. Like, Tommy's too old now for these books. I'm going to throw them away. And when the kids throw it away themselves, and they passed them on to each other, and. And we kind of did that too, but we didn't tear them up. I mean, we might let Roger read one, but Roger hopefully do better not to bend it backwards and take that cover. And I busted at somebody who tried to read my comic, and I took this cover and they put it like this, and I go, oh, he scared the shit out of him because it gave me a heart attack. You don't do that, no, not because I just thought my box damaged. I know that's not I didn't.
No, I understand. I totally understand. I was the same way.
It's like it's just like you don't want someone, after you wax your car, you don't want someone sticking their hands all over it. But anyway, So
I try to
that was,
instill that. Did you try to instill that teaching into your kids? Because I did with my daughters. You know, we'd go to the comic book store. You know, the four of us, and they could pick out whatever they wanted. You know, one book, and of course I'd get all my stuff. But they could pick out whatever book they wanted, and I try to teach them. Okay, you know, you don't fold the cover back behind it, but it's easier to read. No, but this is the way you take care of it.
oh my
You know,
God.
trying to teach them that. You know.
Yeah.
Kind of worked, kind of didn't, but you know and that's why I was like, okay, well, you can get your one Disney or Goofy or you know Raggedy Ann or whatever the hell you wanted to get. You
Yeah.
know, you can buy the one. You know, sometimes they'd come to me and they're like, "Well, you said I could get one, Dad," and you know, it was the like you know an annual or the combination one that had like 5 books in it, and I'm like, no, we're gonna get you the you know regular size book.
Yeah.
I'm not spending $12 on you. I'm sorry if you're just gonna destroy it.
On a trade or like one of those Archie
Yeah,
digest
yeah,
size or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it was like a trade.
Oh, a trade. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Oh, you said one." I said, "No, one regular book." Nice try though. I like where you're thinking, but you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least you didn't ask for. Yeah. Well, what about that Spider-Man? What's that thing? Yeah, Raising Families 15, Dad. What about that one? Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Enterprise lost orbit here.
oh no,
Yep.
oh look at
Everybody
Roger.
did. I got too excited about it. Sorry. And the crew paid the price. Yeah. I mean, my kids never really got into it. I mean, I tried, but it never really took hold. So I didn't have that. You know, they fought again. I guess maybe because that's something their dad did. You know, that I
Yeah,
was like, they never did. There were other things that we did, but that wasn't one of them. So even though I did try, but after a while, you know, it's like might as well because if they don't care about them, they're not going to take care of them. So you just
yeah.
let them
Oh
move
yeah,
on with whatever. So I had to deal with
yeah. I
Pokemon
did the
cards
same.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
I was the same way. You know, they went through that phase. They would go with me. They enjoyed spending the time with me, and like I said, I took them to the cons and stuff, which they enjoyed. But usually, once we got there, everybody, you know, I was in the comic book side, and my oldest daughter liked anime, and my middle one liked horror, and the small one, she liked. How did she like? What did Janelle like? I'm trying to remember what Janelle liked. I forgot what she was into. But everybody, you know, at San Diego, they just kind of. I
Yeah.
didn't kind of let them go wherever they wanted. I was like, you know, you gotta. Yeah, let me know where you're at.
Yeah, and yeah, I was the same way. I mean, so I just went along with the Pokemon stuff and whatever else they wanted to do. It's okay if that's what you want to get into. Of course,
Yeah.
I didn't know then that they would, you know, kind of increase in value, but you know, you don't know that crap when it's happening.
Oh man,
So
Pokemon cards are crazy right now.
yeah, I know, and we still have them. I don't know if they're worth. I don't know how many are worth money, if not, but I just know we have them in a notebook and they're whatever. But
I know that the first, of course, the first year cards are worth a lot, no matter what. Even if it's a common, they're worth something. I think the first 2 years, maybe 3 years, those are the ones that are worth a lot of money.
yeah,
I know
so
that supposedly that first year Pikachu is like $10,000-$15,000 or something like that.
oh yeah. Well, the thing is, I didn't know much about Pokemon, so I thought Pikachu was named Pokemon. So
Oh,
I thought, oh, is that Pokemon? No, that's Pikachu. What do you mean? Oh, so I had to have my son explain me the whole universe. I probably knew too much about the Pokemon stuff than I wanted to know, but at least but if I taught him about comics, I could at least listen to him teach me about Pokemon and all
yeah,
these,
there you go.
you know, Pokemon, Pikachu, I pick you. And it's like, oh gosh, all right, let's
Gotta
go
have
with
them all.
that. I think Roger did that phase too, where he was.
With my daughters, yes. Gotta have them all.
Yep. So the bird, yeah, like you said, and everyone was predicting the end of comics, but of course you got to realize the end of comics has been being predicted since the '60s, so they were always
Yep.
out, almost done, and maybe they did, but they still. Only thing that happened was they got rid of the speculators and gave it back to the fans. You
Yeah.
don't worry about that, and all that crap ended for a while. You know, we went back. The fans could actually enjoy their hobby. I think all the fancy covers, for the most part, went away, and we could get back. And then, as far as comic companies, actually start telling stories now because we were the finicky bunch. We were just going to buy but so
Yeah.
So that lasted for a while. So that was the speculator age, then the boom age, and then I don't know what were the aughts called? Dig Dog? Were they called anything at all, or just the empty age or whatever? I
The
don't
what?
know.
No?
The aughts.
The aughts, the double O's
Uh,
after the bust. Did that happen to you?
Yeah, not really. I guess.
Those chair.
I mean, I guess it's always thought, but since it's all part of the modern age, I guess it's always called the modern age.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we might want to call it the survival age or the Renaissance because comics was given back to us again.
Yeah.
So the revival age, maybe. I don't know. But like comics now, you're right. Every so often they'll come up with the gimmick comic now, but for the most part, the thing is just comics are so damn expensive now. I mean, the only one that sells at a decent price are Spawn. He still Todd still sells them at $3.99. No, $2.99. So $3. $3.99, but prices go $4.99, $5.99, $6.99, $7.99, and then if it's an annual, then it's like $10. And that's normal right now. So, and the thing is, like with Marvel, I know DC definitely does it. Marvel does it somewhat because they mainly stay to their paper stock. But DC, what they'll do is they'll put out the A cover. Usually, they put out at least 2 to 4 covers per issue of everything. So you have the regular A cover, which is on the paper stock, and then covers B, C, and D up to B, C, and D. Those are all on cardstock covers, which is nicer paper and it's better. But of course they're more expensive. Usually, if the book is $6 and that one is $7, the cardstock cover. And a lot of people like the cardstock covers because now everybody's getting into signatures on the book. Whereas when we were younger, if you got a signature on the book, it was always on the first page inside the book. Now, because we would never think about defacing the outside of the book. That was a big no-no. Now it's accepted and it's what everybody wants. So they sign the outside of the book, and also the big thing now is remarks. And remarks are about the size of about that big, 2x3, and they draw a little side face, a little profile picture, or if you can get lucky enough, they'll color it. But those work really well on those cardstock covers because it's thicker paper. So that's been the big thing, and a lot of people that like to collect those, that's what they're going to cons for. They'll submit it to the Facebook comic book shows, that they can get signatures and or remarks on there. So it's evolved, to say the least, with all this speculation that's going on with signatures and so on and so forth.
Right. But I guess it depends. Like probably starting in this last decade, you could also call it the renumbering age.
Oh God, yes.
Because every time you turned around, they got a new. It's weird now that every time they get a new team on a book, they get a new number 1.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man is on volume 6 now.
I believe so.
They just restarted it again.
Yeah, they did. After that, yeah, they did, and and Marvel still has what they call legacy numbering, which is they'll have the new number, and then below it they'll have the original number. And I keep thinking, why not just use one number? Go back to the legacy number and stop with this stupid renumbering crap. But I always joke that's because millennials couldn't count past 100, so they had to keep renumbering them. So that was my joke back then, but it just got tiring that they got to do number 1. I guess they did it as part of a gimmick too, because people say, "Oh, it's a number 1, we better buy it."
Exactly.
Because the number 1s would have this big print, we will sell a lot of books, and number 2 just go back to normal sales. So I guess it was part of a gimmick for them to sell books. And plus, And with DC and Marvel, you can also call it, hey, we had the new universe age, because every time you turn around, they start over. Like with what was the first one for DC?
After Crisis.
Yeah, Crisis. Well, that's Crisis. I'm talking about when they kept restarting with the new 52.
Oh, the new 52, yeah.
And then
now it's, what was it? Not Heroes Reborn. It was geez, I forgot what it is. Right now, it's the new age of DC. I know that. They're spiking it up. Yeah, they started with new heroes because they killed off like the Justice League. But what's funny is the core group of books, which is Action, Detective, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Flash. They had started the numbers to number one again, and I think I know with Flash, once it hit 75, instead of it being issue 76, it changed it to its legacy number.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so it's in the it's in the 800s right now, so they're almost at issue 900. And then with the Batman, Detective, Action, and Superman, once they got to, I forgot what number it was, then they switched back to Legacy so that they could actually promote issue 1000.
Oh, well, they had to do that. I mean, that
Yeah.
was what was that, $10 book? Superman 1000 was a $10 book, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
Something
that was
like that.
yeah, and that was, of course, the first one was Action Comics, and then it was Detective Comics, and then they had a big hullabaloo for Detective 1027.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
And
course.
then I believe Batman and Superman either are nearing or they've already hit the 1000 mark.
Okay.
So it's all gimmicks, though. Just like you said, you renumber it, especially some of the books that aren't doing very well sale wise are like, let's make it a number one again.
Yeah.
We'll stop it, and then in 2 months it'll come out again, but it'll be number one, and then sales perk up again.
Well, while I'm at it here, we are starting our second hour. We've already done an hour of great talk about the ages of comic books. And so we are starting the second age of comics. We're starting the second age of our show. So starting our second hour. And while I'm at it, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, and the bell notification. So you can always keep tabs on your favorite comic book guys and with the stories that we tell, which are almost true, and stuff like that. And so that's it. We'll start our second hour now. Well, I guess we are 12 minutes into our second hour.
Yeah.
So
actually, I have a question to start off the second hour for El Roger, who is somewhat of a comic book collector, kind of, sort of. What do you feel, storekeeper Roger, about the way the prices of these Golden and Silver Age books are just going through the roof, especially the graded books? And Action Comics 1 just sold in a private sale, I believe it was earlier this year. Highest price paid, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was $4.6 million for Action Comics 1. And everything, I've always said, if you have the money to invest, Golden and Silver Age money, comics are the way to invest. They actually appreciate better than what you can put your money in the bank for. But, that's just my personal opinion. I have the numbers that can prove it, but how do you feel that about comics being worth that kind of money?
I can only tell you what I understand about them. I don't know if I'll have any other opinion on it, but first of all, thank you for asking. Comic books, like baseball cards, like old toys, they take us back to when we were. And the intrinsic value on them is they don't have a value. And if you can believe that, then you can understand why these prices are skyrocketing. It's not, with comic books and stuff, it's not who it owns. It's not like the home run balls of McGuire when McFarlane had them. He was able to do it because he had the money. It doesn't work the same way with comic books, at least I don't feel. It is something where you have it because you are reliving your youth. And I believe that's where the value is. And what kind of a value can you put on that? A time machine has not been invented. The comic books, baseball cards, collectibles, those toys, those are the time machines that we have now. And if we had a time machine, it would be priceless. And right now, that's what a comic book is. So I don't know if that actually gives you an answer, Big Dog, on what you might have been seeking. But I get it. I understand, at least I think I understand what they are. And I appreciate that. No pun intended on the appreciation of the value.
I was wrong on the price. I just got to hear it was actually, instead of Action Comics one, it was a Superman one sold in a private sale. And this was late last year. It was a Superman CGC 8.0, and it sold for $5.3 million.
Okay. All right. Since the information was incorrect based on the question that you posed, let me now phrase it this way. No shit.
No shit.
I actually got a good laugh out of Almighty on that one. There was a correction in the numbers. That's all. I'm surprised, but I wouldn't change it takes us back, dude. It's priceless. It just takes us back.
And just to let people know, that actually beat out the record, which was about a year old. And when this happened, it shocked me. And I don't know if Almighty keeps up on auction prices or values once it's done, but this one actually shocked me because this was number one as of September of 2021. And it sold it was a 9.6, first of all, which is an incredible grade. But the thing that the tricky part of this was, it was a Silver Age comic, and we had never seen a Silver Age comic go for more than $1 million, which had happened a few years before, which was an Amazing Fantasy 15, which was a shocker back then. But this was a 9.6 Amazing Fantasy 15 Silver Age comic that sold for $3.6 million. I was floored by that one. I don't know if you had heard about that, Almighty. I was just shocked at the fact that it was a Silver Age comic that went for that kind of money.
I did not know that. I only know that if it makes headlines somewhere. I don't actively check them out. I guess, I don't know. Sometimes I read comic book resources and sometimes I don't. But part of what Roger says is true, but most of it right now is we're back in the speculator age. And also you've got to think about what 3.6 million means nowadays when everybody's a billionaire now. And so if these billionaires are getting these comics, it's nothing to them. Oh, okay, here's 3 million. It's nice to have, and the thing is that what's also sparking is that once even a whiff of a rumor of a character coming into a movie or TV show will skyrocket that book overnight. One day on eBay, it's $1.75, and then once that rumor hits, then it's going for $50. Everybody's buying, and then they're getting graded and wanting big bucks for a comic. Even with the TV show, wouldn't be worth that much money, but they are doing that because it's going to be a big thing, and they're the ones making it a big thing by buying it. Then they make everybody else believe it's a big thing, and so it's almost what do they call that? Cannibalism. Because they just keep going back and forth between them two. Because you and I, Big Dog and Roger, know better. We know. Okay, that's not worth that. No, stop. Let's get this movie shit out of the way and get back to what it's really worth. But that's that. But they just keep cannibalizing each other. I mean, it's really stupid. And people, and like I said, there's more money out there because I don't watch YouTube show that much. I get tired of saying, "Oh yeah, I just got my 5th copy of Incredible Hulk 181." It's like, or a 20th copy, or I got 2 copies of whatever. It's like, why do you need so many copies? What are you going to do with all those? And then they buy a book, and I mean, and even if it's the first appearance of a nobody, like who was that stupid character that came in Batman? That new, I don't know. That was that character. I mean, came out a few years ago, and she went through the roof, then she came back down.
Oh, Punchline?
Yeah, Punchline. Remember when she first came out, everybody was going crazy about that.
Everybody was going crazy.
And it was like, why? Crazy. I don't think she lasted. I don't know. It was like nothing. And then I think it died out, didn't it? But still, for a while there, they were...
Oh yeah, the book Siege of Seed. It was Hell Arisen #3, I believe. That was her first appearance, and that book was going for like $500, $600, $700, $800 graded. Now you can find it on eBay for like $75.
And that's still too much. But yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah. That's my opinion. I mean, but like you said, it doesn't take much to trigger these people, and I don't know how much of it is because of social media, which can allow these
it's social media, and it's what the Gen Zers or Gen Xers call FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, well,
I gotta get it because if I don't get it and he has it, then I won't have it. And just like you said, the price just go crazy.
I don't know.
But you, I, and Roger though know better. And if it is indeed a hot character that sustains itself, we know the price is going to go down 6 months down the line. It'll adjust to the correct amount.
Yeah, not everything, because we know that some books are still have a price tag on them. But
for the most part, you know, it'll go crazy. But you know, the people that have been doing this for a while, or collecting, or keeping an eye on comics or whatever thing you collect, knows that when it first come out, everybody wants it and has to have it, so it skyrockets. And then if you didn't get it right at the very, very beginning, where you paid a decent price, then you just wait. Like I said, 5-6 months down the line, and you'll get it pretty close to that cover price.
Right.
If indeed the character does go nowhere.
Yeah. But still, you're taking a chance on this comic, on this character becoming popular and sticking around, too. I mean, we're just paying big money for it. But it seems you got the influencers out there and other websites, and plus once something hits Twitter, who knows what happens then, you know. Then, like you said, people that have nothing to do with the hobby get excited. Oh, I better get that. And then they, even though they have nothing to do with the hobby, then they start throwing in their 2 cents about what comics should be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, what? Or they complain about something. They don't know what they're opining on things they have no knowledge of. And it's like, shut up. I mean, leave us alone. And part of that is also the movie. I guess you can call it also the comic book cinematic universe too.
Yeah.
I mean, or age. A lot of stuff is going on. I guess I'm going to apply to movies, but they still go hand in hand in a way. Because like I said, as soon as Guardians and then Rocket the Raccoon just came very hot.
That's exactly the example I was going to use. Guardians of the Galaxy was a perfect example. They were a B and C characters in the Marvel Universe for 40 years. And then Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and all those early books just shot through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, especially the first appearance in the Hulk. It's like, oh my gosh, that thing was not even worth $1 at the time it came out, and here you are.
Rocket, Rocket, yeah.
Like, come on, I mean that age of the Hulk was not all that great. I mean, you know, those 200s. I could almost live without those, but I need them to keep my collection complete. But still, it's like it was kind of. Oh, did I pay money for that? But anyway, some of them were pretty good, but most of it was pretty crappy. But they gave up on the Hulk until into the early 300s. That's a whole different story. But stuff like that happens, and you know, it ruins the hobby for us that are purists. So not, for lack of a better word, right now, I don't know if we call ourselves purists, but it's better than saying old timers. But there's even young people that know better than to fall for this crap too. They're not all, you know, Z's doing it, but I don't know how much Z's get. I mean, Z's probably get into it. I don't know if Z's get into them or not. I mean, I know millennials did.
They do, but
I think, or Z's just mostly in for the cosplay. I don't know.
I was gonna say that they're in for it for the social media attention. They're not in it really for the collecting. It's for, like you said, cosplay or going to cons, because going to cons now are the in thing to do.
Right.
You know, going to like San Diego. Oh my God, San Diego! You could tell. I would say 35-40% of people at San Diego don't know a goddamn thing about comics. They're just there to take their pictures and be in their costumes and hopefully see a star.
Yeah.
You know, and they ruined for all of us. God damn it.
I guess there's a certain time you'd call them media whores, but I don't know what they're called now. But you're right. I mean, plus there are, I know a few people that run conventions. They don't buy anything. I mean, they're there they draw people in. They don't buy nothing. They just come in and wander around and do their thing, get pictures, and maybe there's a contest, but they're not there. They don't know. Like I said, they don't know what to buy if they had to. They probably don't even know where they'd find their character in a comic book, where to go to buy it. Yeah. That's the. But like,
and I was gonna say, and the thing with that too is, like you said, a couple of the promoters or people that put together conventions, I'm not saying they don't care, but they're happy because those cosplayers or the non-comic book people, they're still paying their money to get the ticket. So the promoters are happy. It's the writers and the artists and stuff. Those are the guys that are out because they're spending all this money, and like you said, they're not coming in, they're not buying anything. They're just coming by and, the classic line, "Oh, you drew this? Wow." And there's a couple artists I know. He said he gets asked at least a dozen times when he goes to cons that if they could draw something for this particular, for a person, a fan, and they say they'll pay with social media, coverage. That's how they'll pay for their sketches. I have 50,000 people following me. I'll promote you. And he's like, no. I charge $150 for a headshot.
I'll promote you.
Yeah, I'll promote you, but I have social media. I'll have people follow you. And he's like,
so they're actually they're offering free advertising. I mean,
yeah,
for a simpler term.
Yes,
for
for a $150 to $300 sketch.
Yeah. Well, it would be different if they were his demographic and actually order something from his website. That's something different, but. So just look at it and hit like or whatever and move on. I mean, okay, that's nice. Okay, yeah, I didn't know. I think I remember now of it being tried to be used as a currency, but sorry, I mean, I don't think old school artists and writers are going to fall for that. They know what
no,
they know what cash is. That they can take that money and go pay their rent or buy some groceries or whatever else they want to do with it. They can spend that. They can't spend likes and hearts and comments.
Yeah. One of the guys that same guy that told me that, he said one time, a girl came up and said, "Oh, can you draw?" He's like, "Yeah, I charge $150, blah blah blah." And she's like, "Oh, I can pay you, with I'm an Instagram star." And he's like, "No, I need cash." And she's like, "Don't you know who I am?" He's like, "No, I don't." And she was shocked and walked away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess some of them get a big head once they get some followers and they spend their life on their phone. I mean, they don't understand that some of us don't care who they are. We don't care how many fans they have. It's like, that's your deal, not ours. I mean, fine. We had our own deal back in the day. I mean, but now we're like, so what? But it's weird how, I mean, this what I'm saying is like free agent. They're trying to give them free advertising. I don't care. They can call, they have their social stars or whatever, but it's free advertising. And you can't spend, as long as that advertising turns into money, fine. But if it's not going to turn into money, who cares, honey? So, yeah. But so, would you agree with me if I told you that right now it's the woke age of comics? What do you think of that term?
Yeah, I don't like the term, but yes, you're right. I guess it's a natural
I know.
progression because that's what's happening in the real world. So
Yeah.
of course it's going to bleed into the comic book world. But some artists, get a little crazy that do have some racially motivated views, where they try and sneak it into the comics. Like, God, I can't remember the name of the artist. Uh, he was anti-Semitic, excuse me, and he was an
Oh
artist
yeah.
for X-Men, and on the buildings in the background, he wrote certain things on there, and editors and guys, the people that check it before it goes out, they're looking at hundreds of books, so of course you don't look at background, you know. So it got by, and once it hit the stands, within 24 hours there was an uproar, and they immediately try to pull the books, and of course that's another speculator thing. Those are error books,
Yeah.
so of course that became worth money, but that
For the wrong reasons.
yeah, Disney, actually, it wasn't even Marvel that stepped in. Disney stepped in and said, no, you're done, dude. You're fired. And he couldn't understand why, and he stood his ground, saying that's how he feels, so he should be able to put in what he feels. And the answer
In
to
his
that
own
was,
work, yeah, but not in another company's work.
that's exactly what
And
they
plus,
said.
did the
This
proof,
is our company.
but did the checkers even know what to look for? They would even recognize it if they saw it. It depends how old these checkers were too. That way, how
Yeah.
savvy they are in that kind of stuff. I don't know how
And
old it was.
I think it was written in a different language, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
So yeah, so even if they were looking at it, they probably didn't even know what it said, anyways.
yeah.
But
Okay, I didn't know it was even another language. So it took someone who read that language to point
yeah,
out, oh my gosh, look at this. What's going on? Yeah,
so
yeah.
you get those people idiots, but the woke age did it. Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with some of the changes. And this is just me, people. Anybody listening to this, is just me and my opinion. I'm a traditionalist. So when you take a character that I've known for literally decades and you change them, I have a problem with that. You want to create a different character like Miles Morales? I got no problem with that. But you try and go and from one issue or 2 months later you end Spider-Man, and 2 months later it's coming back and it's Peter Parker, but he's black or he's red or he's green, or I have a problem with that. Create a similar type character but make it a different character. That's me. I have a problem with that in this woke age, that they're changing the characters around to uh because the keyboard warriors are constantly sending disparaging letters and emails and such to DC and Marvel, saying, why is this character, why don't we have more of this, why don't we have more of that? So they're changing characters that we've known for decades, and they're just changing them. I have a problem with that. I don't mind you creating whatever character you want in the way these keyboard warriors want you to symbolize them. That's fine, but don't take a character that's been around for 60 years and then change him or her. Right? Like I said, that's me.
Well, the sad part is that the ones that are doing this don't buy comics,
Exactly.
and they don't buy it afterwards either. It's not like, and well, they did. They, like they said, there's an African or a black Green Lantern. There's a black Superman, but they're not Clark Kent. I mean, they have their own
Yeah,
character.
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too because they're their own character. I mean, they didn't make at least not yet, a black Hal Jordan. But I mean, I'm just saying, you made your own. It's fine. I mean, their own. Plus, to their own
Yeah.
character. They're not taking the reins. They're not. You know what I mean? It's just I
Mhm.
don't
Yeah, I
care
know
about
what
it.
you mean.
If they want to make, like you said, with Miles Morales. Okay, fine. I mean, I don't care. I mean, you made a whole different character, a whole new character for a whole new demographic, or well, I'm sure white people buy it too, but I'm just, you know what I mean. It's
Yeah,
just
no, I know what you're saying. Or just even for a new age of kids,
yeah, yeah. And I'm sure,
scorekeeper. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say I can't think off the top of my head, but what Latino characters are out there for Latinos and those of the whatever. You know what I mean? Not the
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. There's not a lot actually.
Yeah, there is, but
They-
that just yeah, you're right, there is. But I'm just saying I don't mind about this diversity as long as their own they develop
yeah,
their own
oh yeah,
character with their
yeah,
own
definitely.
personality and stuff. I mean, I'm sure Roger had. I mean, Roger, do you agree with that, or don't you have an opinion, or are you
He was
still?
gonna say something. That's why I wanted to go to him.
Oh, go ahead, Roger. I'm sorry.
I wanted to comment on Big Dog's line, and dude, you're insulting warriors when you say keyboard warriors. They're not. Pansy, little biatches, children. You might be insulting children, but dude, when you say keyboard war, I get it, Big Dog, but that really gets under my skin when you say keyboard warriors. Like, no, they're nothing of. All they do is they're little prattlers on a keyboard. They're keyboard prattlers, for lack of a better word, but that's it. When you were saying keyboard warrior, no, you make them better than what they are, dude. The only reason why people outrage on the internet is because number one, they have small wee wees. Two, they got beat up when they were younger, and three, 1, 2, and 3. That's it. That's all it is. The only people that complain are the ones that got beat up when they were in school. And I guess I'm complaining. So did I get beat up? I got into a fight. I got slugged in the stomach once. So yeah, I got beat up in school. So there you go. But that's all, Big Dog. I just it's fuck that. They're not warriors. No, they're not. They're worthless. It's all fake. It's all fake with their horror and their furor and everything. Come out to the real world. Oh no, that's right. That's where they got their asses whooped. That's right. That's why they live on the internet. So what were you going to ask me? What was the other question that you wanted to direct at me?
I don't
Me?
remember. Oh,
You don't remember.
I wanted your opinion, and you gave it. That's fine.
On what? On that?
Well, on diversity in comics, if you had any.
Look,
I know
it's
you're not
nice. Look, I had my Lieutenant Uhura moment in Star Trek when in Voyager, Robert Beltran of my heritage was the first officer on Star Trek. I understood the story. I thought it was kind of neat that you had a minority as a first officer, but it didn't change what Star Trek was for me. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, they're still who they are. I guess with Star Trek, I was used to the minority things already. So I grew up with superheroes maybe not having minorities. I don't need a minority character to identify with the superhero. If they have a minority, great. I'm sure it appeals to someone. It doesn't appeal to me.
So you would base it on the story or how the character acts
Always.
rather than the color or the ethnicity of the character. Then
Always. I will tell you this. James Bond, 007, guy's male. No female. They should invent their own character. Okay. There are peculiarities or there are things that stand out. And I suppose Big Dog and I would clearly, it's not even close. There's no space between us when it comes to that. What we recognize, what we know, don't change that. That's what we grew up with. That's how it is. And if you want to, if you want a female to be a male character, give it a different name. This whole thing of you wanting to take, that's toxic masculinity in reverse, where you want to take from something that's already been established. We have a phrase for that. Stop stealing. Make up your own. Come up with your own. There are some incredible characters that are on their own. Harley Quinn. She is one badass woman. Brandon. There's no guy named Carlson Quinn. I mean, come on, give me a break. Uh, I don't need minority characters. I'm sure it's good for someone. It doesn't make a difference for me. Do you know why? It's a cartoon character. It's a made up character. So
Would you? Do you think you're? Let's put it. How do I put this?
see, I was lucky. Star Trek came out with minority characters from the get go,
When
so I'm way above everyone else.
when when you were younger, let's say about 12 years old, do you think seeing a minority superhero would have been someone you looked up to,
I
rather
don't.
than just a, because that is a lot of their reasoning for doing it now, because even though we're adults and we collect comics technically are still geared towards the 10 to 14, 15 year olds. So
Um, no, it wouldn't have made a difference with me. Because look, you had Han Solo, who was a badass, and then you had Lando Calrissian, who was a badass. Okay, it was great that we had those characters, but it didn't change anything for me. The characters is what sold it. Lando didn't have to be black. Han Solo didn't have to be white. They are what they are. I care for Lando Calrissian as much as I care for Han Solo. So I color doesn't bug me. It never has. I get it. We're in the United States of America. I get it. It doesn't bug me in the least. There are other nations that have their own characters that are, I guess, non-white. I suppose if we're having this conversation in Japan, there are no Caucasian characters. They're all Japanese. I mean, come on. In Mexico, they're all Latin.
yeah, they're all
Okay.
wrestlers.
Yeah. So it doesn't bug me that there wasn't a minority character.
Okay. Um,
So Big Dog, I guess no, it color didn't mean anything for me back then because I already grew up in a colorless age. And maybe because of the life I had, I was fortunate. I've joked about it. I've told everyone I lived in Commerce, California. My father provided me a middle class life. I clearly did not provide my kids a middle class life, but my father provided me. All my neighbors were Anglo. Hell, even I thought I was because I was there, and they treated me. They didn't treat me any differently. So I'm the wrong person to ask, Big Dog, because I did grow up in a colorblind society. I did. And like I said, I had Star Trek from an early age where you had, you had a black person on there, you had someone of Asian descent, you had an illegal alien. I mean, Spock. You had people that were on there, and they happened to be the smartest one of them all. So I'm the wrong person to ask.
when was or when is Spanish Heritage Month?
Uh, it's September. Well, we don't even get the full month.
But it's
We
September,
get
right?
half and half. On September 15th, which is the El Grito, through October 15th.
Okay.
So we don't get the full bastards.
Were you aware, Almighty, of the almost craziness that DC, when they did Spanish Heritage Month, the books that they were coming out with? Did you hear about that?
Shit, I remember that.
Oh gosh, if I did, I don't now. So no,
Okay,
I
so
don't,
they
I
they
don't
were they were
remember.
doing special covers, and the covers of certain books, like I believe it was Hawkman or Hawk, I think it was Hawkman. It was Hawkman, Green Lantern, maybe a couple others, and so they had the Hispanic or Latin Green Lantern, something by, I can't remember her first name, but I know her last name is Baiz, and she's supposed to be, with her hand up, with the ring glowing, with the Spanish flag behind it. And Hot Girl, um, no, they actually just trashed that cover and gave her a different one. So whoever was doing this, whoever thought about it, whoever gave the artist the rendition of it, The artist for Green Lantern turned his in, and it was a great picture of, like I said, the Hispanic Green Lantern. They had another person come in and I had the pictures because it got leaked, and there was an uproar because they thought it was funny, or they thought it was they thought it was appropriate to have Baiz with her hand in the air with the Green Lantern with the thing glowing, and in the other hand she's holding a bag of tamales. They thought that was just fine. And the Hawk woman it was her in the cover, but she was working in a diner, serving food, like slinging food. She was a waitress, but the hot girl uniform, because she's the hot girl at the time. I think she's Puerto Rican, and had the Puerto Rican flag behind her, but she's working as a waitress in a crappy looking restaurant. And I think it was 4 different covers, and they were all leaked. And the artist that had done the Green Lantern cover, he announced it on his page, and he said that he had already written an email to DC to take his name off the book and to take his name off the cover, because he wanted nothing to do with it if they were going to have the her holding the bag of tamales, 2 bags of tamales actually. And there were, yes, sir.
Okay, I missed part of that because I had to disconnect, but I put back in. Why did you do it in the first place?
The artist, the original artist, drew her without the tamales. Someone else came in and drew him in afterwards at the behest of DC Comics.
Okay,
So when he found that out, he said, "You take my name off the book. You take my name off the cover. I want nothing to do with that cover." DC then apologized and ran his original cover for Spanish Heritage Month. Same thing with the Hot Girl cover. They just totally trashed it and went with a different cover. And DC, I'm pretty sure whoever okayed the extras put on that, I'm pretty sure they're no longer working for DC, Warner Brothers.
I don't know, big dog. Sometimes that's just done by committee, dude. Sometimes, and they all agree on it, and they're not going to fire themselves.
Yeah, but as you know, whenever they do that, there's always the one fall guy, fall girl, that's going to take the fall for that.
Well, like I don't know.
Sacrificial goat. In any big board meeting, there's always one big sacrificial goat. Sooner or later, everybody knows it.
But I do remember that, and it was just at the time. I don't think I spoke to Big Dog about it. I remember thinking to myself that I think they did this on purpose to get some stuff, because it was not long before Comic Book Day. So I think they were just trying to spread news.
Well, it would have been in September, October, because it was Spanish Heritage Month.
So yeah, but when did the second comic book? Because there's a Comic Book Day in October as well.
There's one like it's Halloween Fest or something like that.
Yeah,
but it's nothing like Comic Book Day though. Free Comic Book Day.
Well, they still have free comics, but it's not a big deal like this Saturday coming up.
Right, but it was set to go out around that time.
So. Okay, I see what you're saying. They wanted when there might be extra traffic.
I really thought that's what it was, because the dates were right. So I think they were just trying to create noise. And they obviously backfired. I think they were trying to create noise, but it really backfired on them.
Yeah, and also it wasn't offered for. It wouldn't have been offered for free comic. It was an actual cover. It was the Spanish Heritage alternate covers. So you would have been paying your $7 at the time, $8, whatever it was, for that cover. I see what you're saying though. Maybe there was advertised in there for, the Halloween Comic Book Day, but I think it was just someone who thought it was going to be a funny thing to do. Let's make fun of the Mexicans. Let's make fun of the Puerto Ricans. Ha ha ha! I think it's funny. They won't mind.
Hmm. But I don't. Well, I don't know. I don't know about the tamale thing, but to put this person in a crappy what restaurant did you say? Or
Yeah, it was like a diner,
well, that's
like a
something different.
five.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like saying, well, that's the best job they can get or whatever.
Hmm.
But but I mean, everybody eats tamales, not just Latinos. I mean, let's face
No,
it.
no, I know.
A white person can be holding a bag of Latinos. Oh God, tamales, not Latinos, unless they went to Home Depot. But that's a bad joke. I'm sorry, that's a bad. But I don't. I guess I can see their point because they're really trying to because they're pushing the stereotype to the nth level on that cover, and I can see why they catch heat. And they used to say there was no such thing as bad publicity, so maybe Roger's right. They got leaked, and it became. I don't know if it increased sales after that, though. I don't know what the numbers are after all this went down. Yet those books
Oh yeah.
with the regular covers actually. I mean, yeah, if the bad covers would have went out and made them like as we would say collectors, people would probably snatch them up right away, and they'd be selling
Yeah.
like hotcakes on eBay for graded for $100. But I don't know what the sales were when they went back to the original cover. So we don't know. I don't know the numbers on those, but that was bad. I don't know why they would even. I don't know what committee did that, but
Yeah.
but as they say, shit rolls downhill. So
Yeah.
that's. I
Now,
don't remember. I keep thinking it's familiar, but maybe it was something else I'm thinking of. But still, it was bad. I can't even imagine people getting behind that. Was that DC? That was DC then, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, that was DC. Yeah.
I don't know. That's bad form.
Yeah. What do you think about the rumors, and they've been going around now for 6, 8, 9 months about, well, it's well known that Warner Brothers Discovery, the joint venture that it is now, is not a fan of comics, and they want to do away with comics as far as being in their portfolio. Do you actually think it'll ever actually be sold? Because of course, the names that keep coming up are Disney, which I don't know if the government would allow that. And of course, Amazon and shoot, what was the other one? There was one other big
I know
company.
that DeSantis wouldn't allow it.
But do you think DC is going to stay where it's at for the foreseeable future, or do you think there could actually be a sale?
For the right price, I think so. I mean, I don't know. I know there are interested parties. There are even creators that are trying to get together and buy it. But do they have enough? But do they have the money that Warner Brothers, WBD wants? I mean, do they really have money to license it? I mean, I don't know if they might license the comics to somebody else. But I don't think they'd sell off the whole thing, because then they want to keep the licensing rights for the movies where they make their big money, or used to. I don't know how those sales are doing now, but it depends it depends how much money the comics are losing, because the new ownership wants to turn this into a lean, mean profit machine.
Yeah, because the other thing that they've been suggesting also is if they don't sell, that they're going to go digital only, no more paper comics, and I don't see that ever happening.
They've been talking about that also for 20, 30 years. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been in. Actually, I thought there was a time they were going to turn the corner in the early 2000s and by 2010 they looked like they were actually going to turn this corner. You could get a subscription and get all the back issues of Marvel and DC, I think, at one time, and just pay a monthly fee or whatever, and then you could do it. And I thought they were about to turn that corner, and then all of a sudden it slowed down and they stuck with paper. I don't even know if that service is still available. I haven't looked into it, because one time I was actually thinking about doing it, because then I could read the comics I couldn't afford to buy singly at the comic book shop, and plus I could keep up all these storylines that I wasn't interested in buying all these crossovers, and that way at least I can keep tabs on it. I didn't have to pay a fortune to keep up with these giant crossovers that they always kept having during the summer and whenever. But to answer your question, I don't know what to say, Big Dog. I really don't, because it seems like like you said, there's been rumors, and it depends. To me, if the comics division is not making money, I think they'd want to get rid of it and try to make it profitable. And maybe licensing is the way to go, and have somebody else have the headache of paying the writers. And because right now, the owner asked for a Bible on each of these characters, and because he wanted to get rid of all this wokeness stuff, he wanted to go back to basics. But the thing is he had the current people that are working at DC to write the Bible, so they stayed the same. So all this stuff that he wanted to get rid of stayed the same. So if he wanted, from what I understood, that's what he wanted to happen was, let's get a Bible, let's get these characters back to where they were supposed to be. But it hasn't happened. It's still, as you can tell, it's still going on because he didn't change any personnel. They're all running the same show. But like I don't keep, since I don't really buy DC, I don't keep track of their numbers, so I don't know where their sales are and what's going on there. But if
okay, I didn't know you weren't a DC guy.
I do buy. I mean, some of the DC wasn't. I mean, there was the stories, not what they were doing. It was like some of the stories didn't interest me anymore. So I think some of the stuff has gotten better that I heard, but I haven't gone back to check it out. But I was never a big DC guy to begin with, as I told you. I mean, my story starts with Fantastic Four, but it depends. To me, if this guy wants to, if DC is long story short or short story longer, if the comics are losing money and he's serious about making it a profitable organization, he will either shut it down or lease it out. But he might sell it as long as they get to keep the movie rights.
And I think any buyer is not going to buy it unless they get the movie rights. So, I mean, Scorekeeper, if you're a businessman, a billionaire businessman, and you're interested in buying DC Comics, would you buy them but not get any of the movie rights? Not be able to retain any movie rights, let's put it that way. So you're just buying the comics side of the company and that's it.
I don't. Why? That's where the money is right now. Look, it's all or nothing.
Yeah,
that's simple. And maybe I was going to use the racial slur right now. I was going to say about negotiating tactics.
I had a feeling that's what you were going to say.
Wow! And I would have actually tried to go after them and then buy the other company without them knowing. So I'd get a better price down here. So, well, since I don't have the movie rights, and then whoever has the movie rights, buy them. So.
Well, no. So what he's saying is, Warner Brothers Discovery sells the comic side, but they retain all the superhero movie side of it.
No.
So it would, yeah.
No, again, I wouldn't buy them. So.
But I think there is. I think the group of writers and artists that want to buy the comics have no interest in the movies. They want to take their vision is to take DC back and start making good stories again.
If only.
But the only thing is they don't have the cash to buy the lease or buy or whatever the division. They have a nice little dream there, but they don't have the cash to even buy to entertain for Warner Brothers to take them seriously, let alone make a movie. Because then they would also have to bankroll the movie to begin with, so they would have to have a lot of upfront cash. They wanted to keep the movies going.
Marvel and indirectly Disney scored the generational talent that he is. What is his name? Kevin
Feige?
Yes. You cannot replicate what he did. You can't throw money in it, you can't whatever. This is a generational thing. And it might be even a lifetime event type thing that's been done here. DC, unfortunately, they have to find someone. It's not just being a fan. And it really annoys me by saying, oh, well, so-and-so did this movie. They're not even a fan of the product. That's absolutely 100% bullshit. because some of the greatest bits of cinema, the director was not a fan, the writer was not and everyone involved were not fans, and yet they created works of art. So this whole thing of, well, fans are better, bullshit. Fans are the worst ones. It's we've already had fans do projects, and they are colossal failures. So yeah, it's okay. You want to play with the big boys, get the money. If not, work at it, be a writer, get in there, be a director, and put your stamp on it.
I mean, I could see what you're saying about the writers and the artists wanting to buy DC comics only and turn better stories and better artwork out. But the thing is, they're being narrow-minded because the money is in the movie side of things, and to want to just get something that Warner Brothers has had for decades, and I'm not sure who had it before Warner Brothers, but comics are on the decline. I mean, that's much as I hate to say it, sales are on the decline. That's why the prices keep going up. Paper's expensive, blah 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 blah. So if you're going to be doing and owning a company like that, like the way Disney owns Marvel, most of their money comes from the movie side of it to help pump the money back into the comic books and start trying to raise all that stuff. So the guys that are trying to get money together, or trying to get a group together to buy DC Comics, you have to have the movies. I mean, or at least the animated or the TV or something, because just doing comics on its own, they can't. I mean, much as we all love comics, there's not enough of us out there buying enough to keep everything afloat, to the point where they want to get at. Because the talent that you want to hire is expensive. I mean, artist prices are, anybody that goes to conventions or gets sketches or sketch up opportunities online over the last 4 years, prices have skyrocketed, and the artwork is getting better and better. I mean, the guys are great, but it's like you say, you get what you pay for. So if you want top premium talent, you got to pay for it. And a lot of those top guys, DC's lucky because DC, Jim Lee works for DC. I mean, he's the president of publishing. So, his artwork is probably included in somehow into that deal. But there's a lot of artists out there and writers, that are freelance, and they don't come cheap.
Exactly. We are now entering our second hour of the program. It is now 11.
Third.
You're right. The third hour. That's what I meant to say.
Scorekeeper, you're right.
Oh God. Anyway, it's the third hour.
Yes.
It's 11:02 Eastern time. And what is that? That's 9:02 there at your day, at your neck of the woods?
8:02.
Yeah, that's what I meant too. Yeah, I meant that too. Thank you. I'm just seeing if you guys are paying attention out there. Roger looked like he's falling asleep, so I wanted to make sure he was paying attention.
I am listening.
I know, because you corrected me. But anyway, I made those mistakes. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not used to pain. I'm not used to making the call. Yeah, I'm just responsible for making sure we don't hear the siren on Saturday. So, anyway, I understand what you're saying is right, Big Dog. But you have those artists and writers who think they can turn this thing around with better stories and better art. Or I'm not saying the art now is bad, but some of it is. And I've heard this, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, Big Dog, that there are more Latino artists in comics because they work cheaper than the more veteran. The more veteran, and maybe some of these more colonial artists. But
I could maybe see that only because they're new. Because whenever you're a new artist, you don't charge as much. You can't charge, a Roger Noriega can't charge what Jim Lee charges, or Todd McFarlane charges. because
No.
Todd and Jim have been around for 25 years, 30 years, whatever it's been, and you've only been around for 3.
Wow. If I had the same skill as those boys, I could not charge what they. Yeah, I can. If I had the skill that they had, I could charge that.
No one's going to pay because they don't know you. You have to be known. You
I
yes, you
understand
can.
what you're saying,
You
big
can
dog,
have that.
but having talent, you will earn the money. So yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
You will earn the money eventually, but you will not earn it right off the bat. You could have better skills than those guys, but they're known and you're not. So when they charge you $1,500 for a
Page.
9x12 sketch, there's no way you will charge that because you don't have the name. It's just like an actor. If you have an Academy Award winning actor, and he charges, $10 million a picture, and you got this young guy that's maybe 3 or 4 years in the business, and he's actually a better actor than Oscar winner, you're not going to pay, even though he's a better actor, you're not going to pay him $12 million or $10 million a movie because he hasn't earned it yet.
Well,
It's the same thing in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I see what you're saying, but let's make it equal. Let's say that there's a white person and a Latino person. They both have the same experience, but Marvel and DC know that the Latino will take less than the white man. I know it sounds racist, but and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that way. So I don't know. So I'm just saying that the Latino that wants to really break into the business will actually take less than the white guy. I don't know.
Oh my God! When Almighty goes back to listen to the 8-minute and 8 hour, and actually goes back to listen, and when he hears that's the way it's supposed to be, I know what he meant, but the way it sounded, holy mother of God!
What did I say?
I can see what
you're gonna have to go back and listen. Even
I can see what you're
just like, holy shit.
I see what you're saying.
What is it?
We actually do know what you're saying.
That might be
Did I reverse
true.
it?
It might be true, but the thing is, in that type of thinking is, and Roger may or may not agree with me on this one. In my the way I'm thinking about it is, yes, the Latino person may charge a lesser amount, but it's because he's been poor all his life, and he's probably lived in Mexico or Brazil or whatever poor country he comes from.
Well, then I wouldn't be Mexican.
And well, I'm glad you find this funny. He can get by on less because he's used to that. And most likely because of the way it is now in the world, you can still live in that area and you fax all your stuff in. Whereas the white guy who may have grown up middle class, upper middle class, even if it's lower middle class, he's used to X amount of money, so he'll charge more. The skill levels are the same. The guy who has been in poverty all his life can accept less because he knows he can make it on what he needs. So I see your point. Not right, but yeah, I see your point.
And I'm glad. And I meant to throw, but you did it for me. You threw in those specifics that they don't live here in America. And I'm not just going to say the white guy. Maybe even the African American in this country will not take that.
Yes.
Whatever I was trying to say before, which I guess I screwed up. I can't remember. I must have said something wrong. If I did, I apologize. But if it's the truth,
it's just
oh, there it is. But if it's the truth, oh, shit, there it is again. There it is again.
I'm just going deeper on you all. Am I digging my hole deeper, Roger? Is that what I'm doing?
Yeah,
buddy.
We need a different shovel for you. You need
Okay.
the backhoe. You need the backhoe now.
Oh, geez.
You genuinely are digging your own grave. But the funny thing about you is that that's not who you are. And that's why we can joke about it.
We know.
Yeah. And that's why we're saying it straight out. I said, dude, when you go back and listen, you're going to like, oh, shit.
But the person who listens to it that doesn't know you and hear you say that the white guy is going to earn more than the Hispanic guy because that's the way it should be is not going to understand.
Did I say should be?
Oh, well, it was
Yeah.
very similar the way you were explaining it, and it was the way you explained it. That's how it should be. Your explanation, not that the white guy warned more.
Yeah.
It's the way you said it. I'm just like, holy shit.
I'm trying to bring out the disparity, not
Yeah,
the,
and you did, but the way it sounded, if they don't know you, you're big.
well, okay. So
That's
I'm not
why
gonna
I had
get,
to,
no Academy Award for me this year.
dude.
Okay.
That's why I said when you go back and listen, you're gonna die laughing because it was.
Well-
That's why Big Dog and I are dying laughing because we know how you are, buddy.
Well,
You-
I wanted to point out the disparity, and even though it doesn't matter what part of the world they live in, they should
But it's
still
true.
be. But quiet. It shouldn't be that way. And I don't know if it's still the same, but
It is because I have bought artwork. You know, I've talked to you about it, Almighty. You know, I buy art pages now a lot, and there are artists that are way more expensive and who, for the most part, happen to be white. And I've bought stuff. There's a artist that I love. His name is Diego Bernard, and he lives in Brazil, and he does Lady Death. And I got an original art page with Lady Death, like in 4 to 5 panels. I only paid $80 for it, which is unheard of, and it was in pencils. You know, which is even more unheard of. And there's a guy. His name is Fernando Pastor, and he's in France. And beautiful artwork. I mean, you don't need to even add inks to his artwork. That's how good it is. That's how tight his pencils are. And I asked the guy who I buy it from, his representative, I said, have you ever sent Fernando's stuff in, you know, just the pencil work, you know, without an inker? He's like, yeah, lots of times. His stuff is so good, you don't need an inker for it, you know. And his stuff is relatively inexpensive compared to other Anglo people. So, yeah, so the disparity is there, you know, and for what reason, I don't know. I mean, there could be a number of reasons, but, you know, the artist sets the price. So it's what they're comfortable with selling their artwork for. But as you know, as you become more popular, you know, it doesn't matter what nationality you are. You know, you could be Todd McFarlane, you could be Jim Lee. You know, Jim Lee is Asian. So, you know, and they're both up there. And Jim charges, what was his last sketch op? For a remark, no, not a remark, for a sketch on a sketch on a blank comic, just a profile. He was charging $1,500 for just pencils, no inks.
Wow. But I'm just saying, it doesn't matter where a person lives or their cost of living, that they should all be paid the same wage for the
Yes.
same talent and the
I
same
agree.
years of service. I am
I
not
agree.
saying that it's fair. I did not mean for it to be the way it should be. It should not be that way. But with this age where you can email work back and forth or whatever you don't have to leave your point of origin. So if you live in and like Roger said, that, you know, if you have a lower cost of living, but that's still not fair. Or Big Dog said that. Big Dog said that. Maybe you both said it. I'll give you both credits or half credit. Okay, I'll give Big Dog full credit. I'll give Big Dog full credit. And I'll give Roger
and you're right.
credit.
You're right on that because, you know, it doesn't matter where you live anymore because, like, some of the artwork, what they do, for those people who are listening and don't know about original art pages, you have the writer that gives, you know, the basic outline, and you have usually it's 2 artists. One's a penciler, and he'll pencil the whole thing out on an 11 by 17 or a 12 by 17 page, and it's usually got the panels already in there, and he draws everything out. And if the inker is not local, they send it via, usually they scan it in and send it via email to the inker. So if Roger's the penciler and Almighty's the inker, Roger will draw out the whole page and email it to Almighty. Almighty then prints it out off of his computer onto what's called blue line or gray line, which means the pencils that were drawn come out either in a grayish tone or a blue tone, and then the inker then inks on that. And then once that's done, then it goes to the colorist. But so a lot of times, before probably around 2003-ish, 2004 maybe, everything was done the old-fashioned way. So Roger would Roger would pencil it, and then he'd mail it via USPS to Almighty. Almighty gets it 2 days later, inks it, make sure everything's okay, and then he turns around and then sends the UPS to the colorist, and then the colorist, once they're finished, does the same thing and then sends it via USPS to the comic book company. So it was a long, drawn-out process. Now, if I finish it in the morning, I could email it to Almighty, and he'll have it inked by the end of the day if he's not really busy. So it has changed a lot in that aspect, where everything's a lot quicker. And now there's a lot of current comic books, there's actually 2 pages of art now. You have the regular pencils, and then you have the inks. And if you're lucky enough, you get inks over pencils, which is more valuable that way, depending on who's doing it, of course.
Plus, sometimes these books are inked on the computer. They'll use a tablet and do it that way too. I don't know if they will do pencils that way or not on a computer or not, and then just keep shoving them back and forth. But you're right about that.
Actually, yeah, they do.
So sometimes there are no pages to buy because it's all digital. So there is nothing to buy. They get it done. And plus it has to be approved by the editor. So this thing keep going back and forth and back and forth. And just think how long that would have taken mail-wise, sending your pencils to up here to get approved. That's approved. They send it to the inker, and then the inker does it or whatever you do with the process. The fastest person ever, I guess, to do a page is, besides Sergio, would be Jack Kirby.
Kirby, oh my God. Kirby was a machine.
Yeah, he was a machine, and you can't help, but it doesn't matter what. If you buy old comics, there's no way you're going to get past seeing his artwork somewhere. But
definitely.
But so now today, I mean, if it's all digital, there's not really any pages to buy anymore. But there are some that do. Huh?
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is, because now it's at a hard copy, and so if the cloud explodes, all that artwork's gone.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's still. But things have changed. I mean, it's a modern age now, and everything's done like that. I mean, and plus, lettering is also done on the computer, which means there's no, you don't have those sticky things that you used to have back in the day when people actually had to know how to do calligraphy to do the artwork. They couldn't just pick a font and go with it. They had to actually use their talent to word those balloons and captions. But it's a whole new ball game nowadays, and I don't think it's any cheaper. I don't think so. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's the way it is now. And it's unfortunate that there are no more pages. You walk around and say, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Now you have to go. Now you see it on. You can probably just click on it and find it in images on Google now and say, "Oh yeah, I seen that page." But it's the way it is.
Yeah. I really appreciate the pages that I've been getting over the last couple of years when I started it. Damn that Clan McDonald Comics. Damn them, making me spend more money.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten into collecting pages earlier, or even 10, 15 years ago. Because there's so many artists that are no longer with us that I would have loved to gotten pages of, and the one I truly kicked myself is, it was always, I could never get the opportunity for even a sketch op because timing just wasn't right. I mean, money wise for me, was George Perez. The Clan McDonald Comics, they worked exclusively with George probably about for 3 years before he passed. And he would offer maybe twice a year a sketch op, but it was always at the wrong time where the payment was due before I got my Social Security, so I couldn't swing it. So I was really mad for the longest for the longest time now I regret it. I wish I would have just bit the bullet and gotten something by him. But there's other artists like Michael Turner, who taken from us way too soon because of cancer, and his artwork is incredible. Just so many artists out there. Kirby, I might have been able to get something cheap from Kirby, which now Kirby pages are so expensive at auctions. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars easy, for a good Thor page. There was an incredible Thor splash page that was up for auction. I think it ended up selling for like $250,000. It's just incredible. But it is what it is. It's the curse of being a collector. You always look back and say, "I woulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda." So
yeah, they always made fun of us when we had our funny books. Now look how much these funny books are going for.
Yeah,
and it's too bad that Jack Kirby could never get the pleasure of making that much money off of his artwork to begin with.
Oh, I know.
That's a sad story.
He was a nice guy. I met him once, and it was at a Denny's of all places. It was a con. It was San Diego, and we went to eat dinner after we were done, and it just so happened that Jack was there with his wife. Wife was kind of a bitch though. She tried to shoo us away.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, because I walked up to him and I wasn't gonna get it. I didn't get an autograph or anything. I just wanted to thank him for all his work. And I walked up and I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Kirby," because he was almost. I waited till they were done eating, and I was like, "Excuse me, Mr. Kirby," and she's like, "Can't you see we're isn't it bad enough you guys bother us all day at the convention?" And Jack was really nice. He's like, "Honey, calm down. There's no need to be angry." I immediately said, "I'm sorry. I apologize." I go, and she's like, he's not doing any signing. I go, "I didn't want a signature. I just wanted to shake his hand and thank him for all his work he's done for this industry." And she immediately changed her tune. "Oh, well, that's very kind of you." I'm like, "Yeah, you bitch. Thank you, Mr. Kirby." But
wow. I never had the honor of meeting the guy, but I was told by people like you that he was a nice guy. Yeah. And you're always going to have that person that's going to try to watch your back. So that's understandable in a way too, what she did. I mean, you're always going to have somebody thinking, now it's our time, leave us alone. And,
yeah. I understood, but at the same time,
you just want to get on with, you move on, right? You weren't there to get an autograph or get a page of art. Put something on my napkin, because someday it'll be worth $1 million. But yeah. So,
but so these comic book ages that we've been talking about. Do you think that they're gonna anytime soon change, put a break in it, a break in the modern age, or do you think it's just gonna continue going on? Everybody's kind of like forgot about it.
I don't think anybody cares. I do know. I'm trying to think of. There is a different age coming about because of people that are selling their books through GoFundMe pages.
Oh yeah,
really?
I think it's called. I'll have to ask my buddy. I think it's called Iron Horse. I'm not sure. It has something to do with but what they're doing is that I don't know. If they make a comic and bypass all the politics by selling them on GoFundMe pages. The only problem is that these books cost $25, $30.
Oh, are you talking about Kickstarter then? Not
no, whatever. What's the Kickstarter or GoFundMe? I don't know what the difference between the two are, but
GoFundMe is more of a
help me.
Someone died or help me. I need to pay for a car.
Well,
and whereas Kickstarter is more
project based.
Yeah, you say I have this to offer. Will you help me fund it?
I mean, I knew that
start a game, want to start a business, want to start a novel, movie, whatever. Usually they're kind of for cinema projects, stuff like that.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, I know that they used GoFundMe to do that kind of stuff. But I thought you could do either project on both.
Yeah, you can. You can.
But well, regardless, they're using these sites, let's say
Yeah.
Kickstarter, to help. They get the pre-orders, and then they mail them out. But since but they just sell them for a lot more money than $3.99 for a book.
Yes.
So
That's where I get that's where I get my Lady Death from through Coffin Comics.
And
Brian Polito only goes through Kickstarter. He only does his stuff through Kickstarter. And you are absolutely correct. The regular book with the regular cover, which is usually 48 to 52 pages, so it is a bigger book. That's usually square bound, but the regular base cover is $28, and then it goes from there. His biggest tier, because with Kickstarter everything's in tiers, and his biggest tier or largest tier, and it collects all the books that's offered. You get something like 30 different books and prints and all this other crap, not crap, but other stuff. And it's usually the highest tier is usually, I think it's $1,500 or $1,600 for the
okay,
highest tier. So
what does that include then?
that includes the like 4 or 5 different basic covers, all done by different artists. There's a jewel edition, so they actually have Swarovski jewels put on the book. There's the metal edition. There's a holofoil edition, the regular foil edition. There's naughty editions, so that she's usually topless. All kinds of different stuff, and it's all high-end artists that are known. And then he in the highest tier, the $1,500, he does like a legends tier. So he'll have like Bill Sienkiewicz or Simon Beasley or big name, something like that, do a cover for him. And those covers are on that tier. Those covers, there's only 25 printed and 15 printed, so
Okay.
super limited.
Well, but I don't know if that's official or not. I know a buddy of mine told me, and that's what they're trying to call it. So
Yeah, I could see that, I guess.
But I guess I don't know if it's just to try to, and plus the way distribution is all screwed up for the last couple of years. Yeah, no, I know, Roger. Never mind. It's hard to get these books out to anybody because everybody has a different way of getting their books out.
Yeah, and the good thing with Kickstarter, because I've backed a lot of Kickstarter ones, but usually it's only for artists and creators that I know or that I've heard of from other people that I have confidence in. Because the way it works with Kickstarter, so let's say they're asking, like with Lady Death, he's asking for $5,000 for it to fund. He is so good that usually, like his last Kickstarter on Lady Death, he asked for $5,000 and he got $530,000. And the thing with him though is he doesn't charge for shipping. Shipping is included in your order as long as you're in the U.S. And they do the distribution themselves. So everything comes into Coffin Comics headquarters, and they have the people pack it and send everything out. Some of the other ones that I've done, they will charge you for shipping, but usually it's a decent amount, and they're the ones that do the shipping also. And it's usually like the one he just did that ended in February. It should be coming out it should be being delivered, I think, in June, so next month. But the thing with him is, as you hit certain tiers monetarily, he throws in extra stuff. So you get a big old goodie bag, a swag bag as he calls it. And there's been like metal challenge coins. He did a can opener, one of those big old metal can openers, along with like baseball style cards, bookmarks, all just kinds of different stuff. The funny thing is, he has a running joke where about once a year he puts in the Coffin Comics condom. So it's a regular condom, but with like Lady Death on the cover on the condom, or Hell Witch or La Muerta. So but A lot of those books are expensive. I'm not going to deny it. I mean, some of his books that he has that you can buy if you decided not to go with the big tier, there are books you can buy and they range in price between that $29 to about $110, and you can buy them individually. But the more expensive they are, the more limited the production on it is. So, like say the $110 books, usually it's a solid metal cover, and it's limited to either 100 or 75 copies. So, it is expensive, but at the same time, it's all in how you look at it, I guess. But it is an alternative way for a creator to get his personal books out. Like on Kickstarter, you'll never see Batman, Superman, DC, Marvel, that kind of stuff. It's all creator owned and creator invented things. And what I want to say about Kickstarter. So he asked for 5,000. Like I said, he always gets it, but there's other ones. And let's say I was doing a Kickstarter and I'm asking for $5,000, and you pledge, but I don't hit the 5,000. Say you pledged 100, but I only got to like $4,300, so I didn't hit my mark. You then do not get charged your $100 that you wanted to pay, because unless it gets funded, anybody that promised to pay the money and it doesn't hit the mark that it's supposed to, you do not get charged. So that's the one good thing about Kickstarter. Whereas,
that's one of the differences between the other one, that one will fund depending on the percentage. So the one that you said, Almighty, I believe that one will fund at 80%.
Yeah,
Kickstarter
so you have to fund,
has to be 100% or more.
It has to be 100%. The only problem though is even though it's funded, you still may not get the product because of the guy's a jerk. Something happened. Rob Liefeld is a perfect example. He had a Kickstarter 8 years ago for I forgot what book that was in Image, and then he decided to, put his own story together. Blah blah blah. Hit the mark and blew it away. Got hundreds of thousands of dollars, and to this day still has yet to even put that book out. And all he'll say was, "Oh, it's coming, it's coming, it'll be out," and no one's.
Oh, it's kind of like that Star Trek guy that's collected about $2 million for a project and he has yet to deliver.
Yeah,
I forget which guy that is.
That's the only iffy part.
And they still keep giving him money. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah,
this is going to be the greatest thing ever. Yeah, really? It's what, 8 years now? I think?
Yeah. See, so that's the only backdrop to it is, you're hoping the guy or the person, comes through on their end. So that's why the Kickstarters that I backed, it's like I said, artists that I know that from what other people have said or from what I've seen or gotten things outside of Kickstarter from them, that they're good standing people and they're going to come through with their stuff. So it's pretty safe. It's pretty safe if you know the person, I guess.
Right. But I thought I was led to understand that you had to do the project or they would come after you. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Or they could try. I didn't know if that was the thing or not.
They could try. As far as Kickstarter is concerned, they could try. But if you actually read on every Kickstarter that that's trying to get money, in the fine print, it'll say just because this particular thing funds, that is not a guarantee that you will receive said product. So that's in there, and from my understanding is if like Liefeld, he's not allowed to do another Kickstarter until he finally comes through with this other one. But he's gotten all that money and he doesn't care because he's doing regular jobs. Marvel hired him back. He's doing Marvel covers. Still no feet, but Marvel. I don't know if you know about that, right, Almighty?
Yeah, that's so old. It's older than the crust in my underwear. And
there's a guy.
That's always.
Roger.
Oh my gosh! And there was once I think I heard that you wouldn't want him to do a mystery comic because each panel, the same panel, would look different each time. So all the clues would keep changing around if he was trying to do a mystery comic because they wouldn't always be the same thing. So that's one joke I heard too. But I know about the feet. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this artist out there, Raj. His name is Rob Liefeld. Super uber popular guy. Went with the Image crew, but he was really young, and he got his head way too big, so he thought his shit didn't stink, and had attitude. But anyways, he's always been known for his artwork. It's pretty good artwork. I mean, except for that Heroes Reborn shit that he put out with the huge titty Captain America. But his regular artwork is really good. But for whatever reason, he cannot draw feet. So all his action poses, standing poses, will go all the way down to like the calf, and then that's it. Then he won't draw anything. He won't draw feet, shoes, nothing. It just, and that's a running joke now for 20 years already.
Longer than that. Wasn't it back to his Image days and Marvel days?
Yeah,
I mean, my
yeah.
gosh, 40 maybe, even closer to 30, at least 30 then. But yeah, and some people like, I mean, he has his distractors too, but yeah.
Oh yeah, tons of them.
But yeah, that was, so he's never learned to draw feet, and it kind of takes away from the action pose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't see an action pose from Curtin. Damn it. From Kirby, calves up.
Oh yeah.
Oh geez, I don't know where Curtin came from, but I'm having a wonderful night tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
So I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen anything official. I don't think anybody's.
Yeah.
Maybe some have tried, but it's just like it's still the modern age, and that's all you can. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a catch-all.
Yeah,
but you're right. People don't care anymore. People don't care about the ages anymore. All they care about is gold and silver, the golden age, the silver age, and the bronze age. After that, no one really cares.
Yeah, it took a long time for the bronze age. Oh, even the bronze age doesn't have much worth, besides for a couple key books or like that, because you can still get bronze at a pretty decent wage.
Yeah.
Price at a con. I mean, if you get the right dealer, you can still pick him up for $5 or so. But silver age is going to kill you no matter what you try to get.
And that's a problem too with these new collectors, these new so-called collectors, that think that just because the book is from the 90s, it's worth $20, $30. But it's from the 90s. It's 30 years old, and it sucked then. It sucks now. Doesn't make it worth more money just because it's older.
No, there's a difference between 30 years ago in the 80s and 30 years ago today. There's a big difference. Oh my gosh. And we touched on it beforehand. There was millions of these things back in the day printed because it was popular. And remember, they were used to selling 100,000 or more copies of the books. And then when the bubble hit and they were selling less than that, everybody shit their pants because they weren't selling. They were just selling 40 now, and they didn't know what to do because it just it took a nosedive. But yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, because the comic shop I go to, you can find tons and tons of 90 books at $1 because.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
some friends of mine online, or on Facebook that we talk and we make fun of it because the running joke is if anybody has a Dark Hawk #1, because that was like the ultimate 90s book that just totally sucked, that there's probably close to 1 million copies of, and someone thinks that they're worth, even $20 a pop. I think you can find that in the dollar bins. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, if you hit the right con or the right sale. I mean, maybe if you get to the right store on Free Comic Day and they have the dollar bins out or whatever you want to call them these days, you'll find a ton of 90s in there, and it's and some late 80s. But yeah, maybe it should stay the same. Maybe it should stay the same since those books really aren't worth much. Maybe it should stay the modern age, because there's not. I mean, even though different events happened during that age, they're not really a big price difference, or there shouldn't be, except for maybe a few key books during that era as well too. But still, that's mostly. But really, what every book that was supposed to be worth something is bottomed out. So, like, doesn't matter unless it's maybe a key X-Men book or something or whatever. But I don't know. But there are different events that happened during the 40 years that should stand out, and as we pointed to, Big Dog. So and that's the way I age it out, because there was just a lot of things, because since I started collecting right there at the end of the bronze, in the mid 70s, I was able to watch all these things go. And then I had the other ages, which weren't that deep and still aren't.
Yeah.
Well, if you count the modern age, still aren't that deep, but the years and years have passed. So I watched you and I both watched them happen. So we were hands on.
Have you ever seen an old Overstreet price guide from like the 80s and just thumb through it and see the prices?
Oh, yeah.
The thing, no, but I see what you're saying, but usually it's like if I open up an 80s comic and see the Mile High ad.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And it's like, because some of these companies back then would take out a full page or a spread of these books, and you're looking at Incredible Hulk 181 or whatever, $5 or 129, $5. It might be then you're like, why didn't I buy 20 of those back then?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. If you bought 100, you could probably retire now. I mean, get more, well, not retire, but get a lot of money to do whatever. Go on a bit nice. Because but it's I haven't seen an old price guide in a long time. Do you have any of them, or do you just never? Not to be nosy, but I don't have any price guides from that era that I didn't buy any back then.
I have probably from the late 80s, early 90s, probably when I really started getting the Overstreet guide. But it's in storage, but I do have them. I try and get, every year I try and pick up the Overstreet guide just to see what the changes are, which is funny because no one really uses the Overstreet guide. Everybody uses eBay and whatever collector's app that's out there.
That's a whole different tirade right there.
Big time. Oh, tell me about it.
But my library had the early Overstreets.
There you go.
And I kept looking at it, thinking, should I keep it? Should I check it out and keep it? And then just say I lost it and paid the cover price? But I didn't do that. But I was just shocked that my little library had Overstreet guides. It's like, okay. It's like it wasn't like a big library. It's like a small town library. It had some of the early, for that, it's still maybe late 70s, but still that was early. Before they were the big novels they are today. But it's like, are you kidding me? So I look at those and go, oh yeah, I'll spend $50 on Amazing Fantasy 15. Yeah, I'll do that.
Exactly.
It's like, sure, let me have it. But
I think right now with sellers and speculators and stuff like that, I think they use eBay and whatever the selling apps that they use. I think it's more for modern stuff. I mean, truly modern stuff, within the last 5 years. I think though, for silver and golden age, you still go by that Overstreet guide. And the funny thing is, with the Overstreet guide, it's all raw books. Because now everybody that buys gold or silver usually wants it slabbed, either CBCS or CGC. No one ever wants PGX because of all that scandal all those years.
Yeah.
So no one trusts PGX at all. And CBCS is now coming up, but for gold and silver age, everybody still sticks with CGC, that they want CGC over CBCS because of the value. Everybody feels that CGC has more value to it. But to me, the Bible for older stuff is still Overstreet.
Unfortunately, there are dealers that don't agree with you.
That's sad.
because,
That's
like I
sad.
said, it's a whole different tirade. But just to tell you real
Yeah.
quickly, I have seen this at a con or a show where they will actually check their prices against eBay and watch them rise the price from Overstreet to whatever the average price on or the highest price on eBay is. I've watched them. I've stood there and watched them, and it's like, and they would go up by $300 in 2 seconds. Well, change that sticker. Change that sticker. I've seen it happen, and I agree with
Yeah.
you, Big Dog. But unfortunately, no one else does.
Yeah. I remember one time I walked in a couple of years ago into a comic book store. I just happened to check one out. It was one I hadn't noticed been into before. So there were some back issues that I was looking for, and he had them all priced out, and they were decently priced. And I had a stack of maybe 20, 25 books. I was just doing some fillers that I needed, and I took the stack up, and he immediately he's like, "Hold on," and he opens up his phone to eBay, and he got that first book, and I see him that he's starting to type stuff in. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm checking the prices." I go, "It's already priced." He's like, "No, that's not that's the price it was, but I have to check to make sure it hasn't gone up." And I said, "Oh, so if you have a price for $10, but eBay says they're selling it for $7, you're going to give me the $7 price, right?" He's like, "No." I said, "Well, then how can you raise the price on me then?" He's like, "Well, how can I not?" I said, "Well, because you have a price at $10. You should honor your prices. There's no sign saying prices are not. It's a floating price. You don't have anything saying that." "Well, that's just the way it is here." I said, "Okay." And I pushed all the books. I said, "Here you go. Thank you very much." And I started walking. He's like, "You don't want these?" And I go, "No, you're not. If you're not going to sell it to me what it's priced for. You put a price on it. You spent the time pricing it, and now you're trying to change that price on me. Do that when you don't have customers in the store and reprice everything." "Well, I can't reprice everything. I just reprice the stuff as it comes up." I said, "Well, I'm not here to do your job for you."
How stupid.
I know
And
you have
he's
an
like, "Well,"
opinion there, Roger. What is
What's
it?
that?
I know you have an opinion on that.
Oh, I've
and
already
and
said it. I've already signaled it. It's like,
Oh,
that's
and,
okay.
and
stupid. Walk out.
so yeah, so I started walking the door. Like you say, you're not gonna take them. Not change prices on me. He's like, "Well, are you
I
gonna put them? Are you gonna put them back?" I said,
no.
"No.
Fuck
Why
you.
should I?
I'm not gonna do your
Have a nice
job.
day. Have a nice day." And I just walked out the door.
Well, he lost the point.
What?
He lost the sale.
Yep. What I should have done is I should have. Oh, you know what? Hold on, and I should have picked out like 100 books all throughout the whole thing, and then take them up. And when he started, no, I don't want any of these. Then make him put them all back.
Yeah, that's even better. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I didn't know about that
Ask, can you borrow a short box and fill it up?
either. There you go.
Then take that up. Yeah, I'll take these, and then see if he's going to take the time to price each of those, or just tell you come back and tomorrow and pick them up. Like, nah, fuck that. But yeah, make his job harder to price these books. A handful, I guess, he
How
could do.
stupid. Well, you know what? It worked with people. That's why he did it. It worked with other people.
Yeah, and that to me is also a desperate owner. That wants a nickel to dime you for every single thing that he can.
Yeah,
My
you
whole
know,
thing is, yeah. I mean, you have it priced at a certain price. That's the price it is. And if the price goes up and you know about it, then when the store closes or before the store opens, you go in and you change the price. You don't wait for someone to bring it up to you. That's being lazy.
yeah,
That's
but that.
criminal, dude. It's actually against the law.
Well, I thought you were going to go there, Roger. I thought you were. Because I was waiting to bring it up. I saw the look in your eyes, like, okay, Roger's on top of it.
Well, I was going with it, saying I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's against the law.
yeah, because you see retailers like others. You sort of hear the news where Walmart changes prices right there at the register, or they're not marked. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Who got busted for it? Some other store got busted. That really.
In California, it tends to happen more often. And when you walk in the store, it is posted that so and so got nailed on this date for doing this. Like, ooh. And California is somewhat aggressive with that. And it's kind of neat. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, But
I remember one time, and forgive me, when I was store manager at Kitchen Collection, this is way off, and they had a good marketing campaign where it said, uh, their price and then competitor's price or whatever. And obviously the comparable was almost always higher. Obviously, because that's the way it worked, and our price should have been cheaper. And when you're pricing the stuff, this item was $14.99 and the comparable was $17.99. Well, what happened on one of them, when you hit the price gun, it didn't print the one of the $7.99. So it said $14.99 and comparable $7.99. And the lady came up and tried to ring, and I rang it up. She goes, "Oh, aren't you going to get to $7.99?" So why? It says right here, $7.99. And I said, "Oh, no, that's the comparable." She says, "Well, it says $7.99. I said, "Yeah, read our price. It says right there's $14.99. Well, you should give it to me for $7.99. No. She goes, "Well, that's false advertisement." I said, "No, as a matter of fact, miss, I'm telling you, you can get it somewhere else for $7.99. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's your choice. You want to buy it here for $14.99.
And then I actually got impatient with her, and I says, "Look, miss, I can even see the one faded on the gun. It ran out of ink. Okay. I know you checked the shelf already if there were any more. So if there are any more like that, I'll give it to you for free." I knew what it was. Big Dog knows what I'm talking about. You know when the gun misprints. Okay. Mm-hmm. It'll well at the time. And I told her, I said, "If you find another one with the exact same thing, I'll give you this one for free." And she just looked at me. Yeah, I knew she checked. I knew she did. And I said, "Look, miss, it's not false advertising." But I did tell her, "Well, I'm telling you, you can get it somewhere else cheaper." And that was not false advertising because it was clear. It said our price and comparable price. And I disliked that so much when I was store manager there. But it was a good marketing way. Look, this is what we're selling it for. And generally it's over there for this month. And our people were really good at getting those prices right. I still didn't like it, though. I just didn't like it. And they tried to nail me for false advertising. Like, "Yeah, right, huh, Big Dog?"
Keep trying.
Yeah. And if we screwed up. We admitted it. Oh, man, it was that easy. But so many people try the false advertising all the time. And what was it, Big Dog? The more the price would be ripped, right? The price tag.
Yeah.
$11.99. They'd rip off part of it, so it only said $1.99. We're like, nah. Price is ripped off. Nice try.
Or just they had it in the wrong spot when we went just to the tags on the shelf.
That's what I was still thinking prior to us going digital.
The item to the cheaper side and say, "Oh, look, that's what price it is." No.
Just because someone left it there. And Thrifties was real good, especially when it came to the thrifty items.
Mm-hmm.
The description of the tag was fairly solid. You could almost identify it. But with thrifty products, it had the old MCS number on there. And you could check on the tag, which matched on the back side of the product. Big Dog, thrifty paper towels, baby. 155606, baby. I still remember that. 155606. And I don't remember if it was Cheer or Tide, but 914813. I remember those codes, man. I remember them. Oh, that's a flashback that Big Dog's like, "Yeah, I don't want to remember that shit." But I remember thrifty paper towels, which were very good and very popular, weren't they? Especially they were 2 for $1, dude. Remember the rolls? Oh, we couldn't keep those in stock. But the code for thrifty paper towels was 155606. Sad, but true.
Well, it's late on the East Coast. I know it's late for Almighty, even though he's a night owl. But he's got to get over to. He's got to get. He's got to get to his spot in Cheetahs. So
But yeah, we're about to enter into our 4th hour, and I guess we have discussed. Well, we got to everything that we wanted to get to, and
Yeah, and I think we touched upon our next episode, which is the pricing and gouging, and that might be our next one that we'll talk about pricing.
Oh, so do we have a next one? Shall I put it on our calendar? When is it going to be, gentlemen?
I don't know if Big Dog has the date yet, but whenever he picks the date.
Well, I remember when he was doing it, it was once a month. Then he moved it to once every 3 months or whatever, but I don't know.
So let's go June 6th. That's the first Tuesday in June.
Oh, shit.
Okay, what's that?
Tuesday. Okay, yes. Because, wow, we're going to have a big week then because the professionals will most likely be moved to Wednesday. So that'll be cool. So,
Right.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, Comics 101 will be on June 6th. All right, let me reserve that one now. And really good.
Well,
Folks,
cool. It'd be perfect too, because maybe we'll do a horror satanic theme to it, since it'll
June
be
6th.
at 6 o'clock. 666.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the price gouging and the price stuff is also that's kind of horrific too. So I mean,
and if El Roger shows up for that show, he can balance us out, because all his seminary years he can give la bendición, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, he can bless the show and then perform an exorcism.
Ooh, I can bless it. I don't know about the exorcism because that might kill me too. Folks, I do want to take a quick moment. I want to show off this image right here. Folks, here it is. It is not this Saturday, but it is always the second Saturday in May. This has been going on for about 27 years now. If you do not receive the paper bag from your postal carrier in front of your home in the next week or so, you can still give. This is the biggest day of the year. This is when America comes together, and our postal carriers, and it's the postal carriers that do it. They show up on that Saturday, and if you fill up a bag full of cans, they take it, and it is one of the largest, if not the largest, food drive in the United States of America. Folks, a can of chili beans, a soup. If you are able to give one, it is a meal for someone. It is the most direct thing that you can do. It is a worthy cause. It is something that I have been privileged to be a part of for 27 years. Everyone who knows me knows that this has always meant a great deal for me. Although I have never benefited from this service, I do know people that have. And folks, it doesn't matter what the can is. A can of food is a can of love. And this is the United States of America. This is us, folks. This is what it means to be American. And this is a time that we can reach out to our neighbors. And there are many people that go hungry. But these letter carriers collect these cans. And in June, the pantries fill up. This is something. It's a big deal. And it will be this year on May 13th, the second Saturday of May, every year. So it's coming. Stamp out hunger. Stamp out hunger, folks.
Yep. You are making Big Dog tear up.
Well, no. But yes, okay.
Don't forget. And Comic Book Day is this Saturday, May 6th, 2023. So everyone's going to spend their money on comic books, and the next week, they ain't going to have shit to eat. Step out hunger day.
Oh, okay.
They spend it on comic books, so they're going to need to eat the week after. So there it is.
Here we go. A good segue there, Roger. I love it. Well, Big Dog, you want to take us out?
All right, guys. Thank you for being with us all this time. We thoroughly enjoyed it. And as Roger just said, we will have our next show on June the 6th at 6 p.m. 666. Not hard to forget. So please come by, and we're gonna try and make this a monthly thing. Maybe not this coming show, but the following one after that. So in July sometime, we will hopefully have maybe a guest come on. I'm gonna start reaching out to some artists that I know, and we're doing the first couple of shows just to lay the groundwork of Comics 101, give people background, our thoughts on the industry, and then start actually getting some industry people in here to talk to. So that's my plan that I have. I'm gonna start, like I said, I'll start reaching out next month. It's gonna be kind of hard because it is con season, but that's one of the reasons also why I'm picking Tuesdays, because usually artists, writers, and creators don't leave for cons till Thursday or Friday.
Next Tuesday, or that Tuesday, will be July 4th. Independence Day, baby.
Is that on Tuesday this year?
It is, yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
We'll see as we get closer. It might be 2 weeks after that, or 3 weeks, because what is July 11th? Is that a con day or no?
Not on Tuesdays. There's no cons on Tuesdays.
No, but isn't that Comic-Con week?
No, that's the following week, and that starts
Okay.
on Wednesday.
So that's on the 18th then. Okay, so it may be the week after July 4th on All-Star Tuesday. Major League Baseball All-Star Tuesday. So that'll be good. Bunch of comics, comedians, and baseball. Same day.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you once again for for coming on. We thoroughly enjoyed our time. That's Almighty. That's El Roger. And I'm the big dog. And you guys all have a safe rest of your week. Join us on Saturday mornings for Sports Talk with the Guys, home of the Money Money Quarterbacks on Saturday. We are here from 6 a.m. till we're done. Usually about between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. So please join us if you can. It's a bunch of fun. And like I said, guys, just be safe out there. And we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Peace.